Buddy, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. I just watched Japanese Winnie the Pooh, and honestly, it's really good. The voice actors are so perfect. You know, it's just about matching the voice to the trope. I'm telling you, it was so good. It came across my TikTok feed, and I sat there and I said, you know what? This hits just as good as the original. It really is like the moment Pooh started talking, I was like transported back into my childhood. All right. All right. Good morning. So, just a reminder at the end of the week, Friday, we will be having a collaboration with a few vegans. We'll talk about veganism, ethics, philosophy. It'll be very exciting. I'm sure it will go very, very well. As you guys know, I've been on a plant-based journey for a year and a half, ever since I did my 30-day vegan challenge and was told by vegans, Brittany, you can't be vegan for 30 days and not be vegan. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I learned over the course of this year and a half that veganism is not a diet. It's not about what you put in your mouth. It is an ethical stance against animal exploitation. And so when we have our conversations today, I want us to think about that word exploitation. And I want us to think about being taken advantage of. And we'll relate this to capitalism, of course, but even more so, we kind of touched on it yesterday, like being exploited by family members, being taken advantage of by loved ones. But there is something to be said about how things to me in the past that seemed okay and normal and expected now to me seem so icky. I get chills in my gut just thinking about like, oh, I don't think this is ethical anymore. So we're going to talk about that today. Also, welcome to memberships, Lanzi. Happy to have you here. Welcome to all our members. Let's go ahead and get started with this question here. Okay. So I got this question from chat. Let's start here. It says, I'm very confused by people saying that it is bad to bring a child into the world. Maybe I have not gone through enough discussions around the topic, but to me, stopping to bring children into the world sounds like collective suicide to me. I keep wondering why we are making the world a better place if we don't want to bring more people into it. Is it like the vegan take about stopping to make milk cows reproduce because thought selective breeding, their bodies are suffering too much and they better just not exist? It's better for them not to just exist. Sometimes I use my phone and it autocorrects really terribly, so I'm going to assume that's what's happening here. I don't understand. I feel like refusing to bring kids in the world is like giving up. Why not just die then? So I want to start here because when I make comments on stream, like think about this before you bring a baby into the universe, people think, oh, Brittany's an anti-natalist. I'm not anti-nothing when it comes to bringing babies into the universe. I think it would be beautiful if parents educated themselves and were shepherds and we brought babies into the universe with them as the center of our thought. I would love it if we gave everything to children and we really focused in on how we're influencing them and how they end up turning out good or bad. Yes, because of the way we raise them, and two, because how society is as a collective. So no, I'm not an anti-natalist. I'm not saying to not have children. I'm saying we should be thinking about how we have children. I also think that it's interesting that when individual people decide not to have babies, it's collective suicide. But when men decide to genocide populations, it's not. Because I don't know what could be worse for the population on Earth than genociding whole populations. So it's just interesting. I think that when people who can give birth decide not to, or decide not to bring a baby into the universe, it's like, you're ruining the future of humanity. You're the reason humans will go extinct. You know, it's all on us. But when you kill, when you displace, when you starve, it's all of a sudden just like somehow it is for the continuation of the species. Like this is sort of what we talked about yesterday about war being a story we tell ourselves is like, we need war for peace. But like, just to clarify, right? Now, I got this secondary comment I want to read to you. This comment is because I had said that I believe in universal housing and education and all these things for everybody, included bigots, because bigots have children. And it's not that I want to see anyone unhoused either. I think what sometimes there's this difference between what I believe is leftist philosophy, or at least like deconstructed philosophy, and then what other people think it is. And it's all kind of valid based off the bubble. But when I think about the children as the center, then we when we think about, like, oh, I don't want to hire a Nazi at a job, valid. Like, I don't want to have a company that hires a homophobe either. And at the same time, I'd probably hire a religious person, right? We're acting like billions of people are not bigoted. We're acting like we don't live on a planet where everyone of every skin tone, every religious background, everyone is literally bigoted. And so it's not like I think people take it for granted that they're deconstructing. I think like you take it for granted that you're doing the work, and you don't give yourself enough credit because you forget that the world's a really shitty place. And so you think, well, I'm around all these great people and these people aren't bigoted. Yeah, girly, you're like the minority amongst minorities, amongst minorities, amongst minorities. Like, watch black people deconstruct Christianity and they'll tell you right now. Watch West Asians deconstruct religion. They'll tell you right now. Go watch all of these minorities and all of these situations. That's why we say, and when Charlie Kirk tried to make the argument that we shouldn't care about Palestinians because they're homophobic, we said absolutely not. No one deserves to be genocided. Same energy you bring to Americans. U.S. citizens who are bigoted don't deserve to be genocided because they're bigots. Like, they don't deserve to be unhoused because they're bigots. Like, we're still going to house them. We're still going to feed them. We're still going to do all these things. So when we have these conversations, I just want people to be so fucking serious and consistent about their ethical stances, which is difficult when we live in a subjective reality. This is why I say, how could there be more objective morality if we can't even stay consistent when it comes to unhousing people? Do we want people unhoused or not? Do you think unhoused people are probably not conservative? Do you think all the unhoused people in the world are just all like trans and gay people, who, by the way, might be still conservative? Like, it's just like this narrative isn't materially reasonable to me. So, okay, with that said, this says, I don't know, Britt. I see your point about the bigots not being able to feed their kids after their jobs get snatched up. Yet those same people did not give a rat's ass when they outed and exposed LGBT folks and left them without a job, specifically teachers, with the protect children nonsense. The queer employees could have been taking care of children, special needs kids, or elderly relatives. The bigots did not give a single fuck. People with immutable traits versus people choosing fascism is no brainer, sorry. I can't bring myself to care about someone left unemployed because they actively choose to be harmful, bigoted, and fascist. So for the record, you don't have to care about the individual, right? Like, we talk about this all the time. No one is asking you to feel bad specifically about that individual. We're asking you to stay consistent with the system that we're aiming to have. Because again, FD Signifier talks about this all the time. He just feels like dismantling white supremacy is going to be so much harder while capitalism is still alive. So then FD Signifier said, like, no one's invited to the cookout till socialism. And that's because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, these systems, like, the world's not going to change overnight because we dismantled these systems. We're trying to chip away at the destruction, right? We're trying to chip away at the bigotry. So I understand that you don't want to feel bad for the individual bad person. Don't feel bad, right? Like, don't feel bad for specifically them as a consciousness. Be upset at the system that put that in place, that unhoused people exist, that they have children on the streets, that we can't house our people when we live in the richest place in the world, right? Like, that's where you should be upset, So I would never ask you to feel bad that specifically Charlie Kirk died. Like, I don't think you need to feel bad like Lindsey Graham died. I don't believe in that. I don't feel bad they individually died as people. I feel frustrated that they couldn't have lived a life that I could have celebrated, right? But like, also, I'm not going to ask someone who they voted for before I feed them, right? They said a queer person living their life does not compare to a bigot being reckless and abusive. The bigot should have thought about voicing their vitriol publicly when it would have impacted their livelihood. Marginalized people are tired of being abused, and there needs to be consequences for those who want to perpetuate said abuse. I've seen several marginalized folks say something along the lines of, to combat the oppressor, you have to speak their language. I'm not going to throw around poorly thought out slurs but when fascists go all blue hair, nose ring theory and be viciously transphobic, etc., that I can't promise you that I'm not going to pass on commenting about their commonly occurring aesthetic features, excluding weight. Other than that, great video, and I hope you're doing great. And I hope you're doing great too. And I hear you. Again, I just want to make sure everybody knows I am not interested in, because here's the thing, like, I remember when I was younger in conservative bubbles, guys, they would look at people who went to prison as an example, because chat mentioned prison. They would say, and by the way, there are a lot of innocent people in prison, a lot of people who have committed no crime and holding cells. And they would say, well, you must have done something, right? Like they would say, well, fuck around and find out, only you'd be like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They would say, oh, well, if I had an interaction with a cop, I would know how to handle a cop because like you must have done something, right? They will assume that like the bad thing that happened to you for a reason. And not only did it happen to you for a reason, but you deserved it. And I'm saying no one deserves to suffer unwisely. No one deserves to suffer unnecessarily. No one deserves to suffer at the hands of other people. And I refuse to be a person who causes that suffering directly and with malicious intent. So again, I hear the logic. I get it. And you're right. Like materially, it's not the same. Like white people being racist against black people interacting with cops is not the same thing as black people being indifferent to white supremacists being unhoused. It's not the same fucking thing. And yet, at the end of the day, I would just encourage you all to realize it's not about those individual situations when we're talking about dismantling systems. Like, again, I think the reason I think we should dismantle and focus on white supremacy, even over a focus of capitalism, is just because, like, if you dismantle capitalism, now white supremacists just have power and a better economy. And you're like, okay, like, great. Like, we're still going to be excluded. So a part of me thinks we should dismantle white supremacy, but dismantling white supremacy is so hard. It's so difficult, probably more materially difficult than it is to dismantle capitalism, which is why leftists started anti-capitalism, which is why even FD Signifier said that socialism might be an easier system to dismantle white supremacy under. But when we have these conversations, I just want people to know, like, you never have to feel bad that a Nazi got his shit rocked. You should feel bad for the person who did it and has to live with that memory. Because remember, imagine you're on a date with a guy and you're on a date with a man and you're like, hey, have you ever like fought somebody? And he's like, yeah, I beat the fuck out of this guy once, sent him to the hospital. He died later. He was a Nazi though. Are you going to marry that man? Are you going to trust that man to teach your kids? Is that the guy you're going to bring home? Is this the man you're going to sleep with? Are you going to let him raise your kids? Because I'm not gonna. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna. And so when we sit there and think about like the people who have to live with their actions, this is what I'm talking about. Do you want to live with that person? Because I don't live with that person. Okay. It sounds cool when your life is an anime. Sounds less cool when your life's not an anime. Which, by the way, my new commentary video is going to be about this because I think people forget about the fantasy versus the reality. I'll give you a little sneak peek. So I want to talk about how men often don't understand the idea that women reading like ravishment stories is not the same thing as wanting to be raped. And it's the same thing as like men thinking they're Vegeta in the story. Oh, so you're like a genocidal maniac. Oh, so you're a guy who gets his shit rocked by Frieza multiple times. Oh, you're the guy who gets his shit absolutely rocked by every guy every season. Remember that time he tried to fight Beerus? Okay. Is that who you want to be in the story when you say you're Vegeta? Or no? Do you think you just want to be a cool ass Saiyan who gets to X level of strength, who looks fucking cool, who has a transformation where he becomes a good dad? Like, which part of the fantasy are you actually fantasizing about? It's probably not any of the scenes where Vegeta's getting his shit rocked in. You know what I mean? So like, okay, when we have these conversations, we romanticize and we build our life on a fantasy versus actually what's happening in real life. In real life, I don't want to hear any of the men in my life brag about beating someone to death. Even a Nazi. Okay? Even a Nazi. Right? Chad says, wait, why did you bring up white supremacists being unhoused? Are you asking because you missed the whole conversation? Or are you asking because that's what this is about? Like ultimately, when we're talking about unhoused bigots or not feeling bad that bigots got unhoused and not thinking about their kids, again, most of the world is bigoted. Like most of the world is white supremacist. Most of the world is racist. Most of the world is really, really horrible. And yet, even with it being as horrible as it is, like, you know, we're doing pretty good shit, but like, it is a pretty bad place. So I don't know if people realize that because we're so like, I can't tell sometimes with leftists because sometimes these liberal leftists get confused. And then that's the other part of this layer is like, sometimes there's like liberals and there's leftists in the community. And I'm like, which one are you? Because they're different. But sometimes I feel like when people talk, they're not acting like most of the world is a horrible place. And then I'm confused, okay? And then it goes back to the conversation about like, why are we negative about bringing babies into the universe? First of all, that goes back to the original comment I got about bringing babies into the universe. Listen, it is not our obligation to bring babies into the universe. And also, like, okay, I need to make this clear. Like they said it sounds like collective suicide to me. It's like this part here though. Why are we making the world a better place if we don't want to bring more people into it? I don't think you guys understand how many people exist on the planet. Like respectfully, I do not think you can conceptualize what 8 billion people means. Like, I just think like, if you're going, let's say you're on a California freeway highway, 10 lanes, and you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic and you see all of those lights, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's a drop in the water to the amount of human beings who exist on the planet. There's 8 billion people. You know how many billion is? Like, hello? And then you're sitting here like, oh, I wonder, like, you guys, we're not going to go extinct overnight. And even if we did, you know what I mean? There's no moral obligation we have to keeping human beings alive. That's subjective. Okay. But this like narrative of, you know, why are we trying to make the world a better place? Because there's people now who are alive now. There's people who are going to exist in the next 5 generations who need help because there's so many things that are going bad with everything that we're doing. Like, you know what I mean? What about the next few generations that need to exist? There's always going to be people around generally. So for those people, and yes, if we stop having babies, we'll have to move closer together. We'll have to like redo how resources are created. But also this plays into the capitalism of it all, because the exploitation of people in the name of helping humanity, it never works that way. Like it just never, ever works that way. So I want you to look at these videos, okay? This is going to sound so weird. And you're like, how does this relate? I genuinely never thought anything about this before, and now I can't unsee it. I just cannot unsee what I have now seen. Okay, so let me show you these videos. Okay, so I am thinking about getting my hair done, and I put henna in my hair. Stay with me here. Stay with me here. Okay, and because I put henna in my hair, even if it's a natural henna, there's a chance that it could not do well with the dye. So I went down this rabbit hole on TikTok trying to figure out, you know, hair stuff. And people are like, oh, wear a wig, wear a wig, wear a wig. And I was like, oh yeah, I could wear a wig. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much real human hair wigs are. And I've never thought about getting a real human hair wig. Never in my life. Okay. And don't worry, I have a hair appointment next month with a professional. So she's going to test my hair. But I never thought about wearing real human hair. But I went down a rabbit hole of real woman hair, human hair. I don't like it.
Come take a.
I think officially it is starting to look like human skin to me. And I want you to watch this with me and tell me if it does not freak you out, because I think I have a bubble pop. I think I had a bubble pop and it scares me. Look at this.
Come take a look behind the scenes.
So this is an example of a woman who's saying she is not exploiting women for their hair because she's going straight to their homes to get it.
And let me show you what 100% real raw hair looks like. This is 100% raw Filipino hair. I didn't order this from a warehouse. I didn't buy it wholesale. I flew to the Philippines myself and sat in these women's homes and collected this hair with my own hands. As you can see me cutting the hair right here. Single donor, one woman's hair, unprocessed, no chemicals, no factory, just pure raw hair straight from the source. Majority of the vendors that you guys buy hair from, they have never even touched the hair that they sell you. I've touched every single bundle. I was there. I paid the women fairly. I funded their children's education. I invested in their lives. This is what my brand is built on. Real raw hair, real raw Filipino hair is not going to cost you $300 or $400. So if someone's selling you raw hair at that price, it is not raw, point blank. I met a girl yesterday who paid $400 for what someone called raw Indian hair. I felt the hair. She showed me pictures. It was horrible. I mean, dry, processed. It was no life to it. This is why I went directly to the source myself. When you buy from Roots Hair Academy, you're not just buying hair. You're buying integrity. You're buying longevity. You're buying 5+ years of hair that will outlast anything you ever had on your head. This
listen, I never thought anything about it. This is why I say, like, I will never stop learning. Like, I never thought anything about it. I was like, yeah, a real hair wig. That sounds nice. Like, oh, that's quality. And then I was like, is it like wearing a skin mask? Why does it now feel like it's wearing a skin mask? Like, oh, this isn't my real skin. I bought this skin. That's what it feels like to me now. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I don't like this. Hair holds memories. Hair is spiritual. You know, you have someone else's hair on your head. I'm like, oh, wait, no. Now I don't like it. Now I don't like it, right? Chet says farm to table hair. That's what it feels like.
I
Okay,
have a
next video.
question.
So then I found this other girl who, okay, here, I'll show you.
I have a question. When they say 100% human hair, whose hair is it?
Jackie, it is like thousands of people's hair. So the bundle that you're holding is definitely manufactured hair, kind of like this. So it's the right color, it's the right length, and it's all bundled up, all pretty, and that silky texture that you've got. It is manufactured hair, and it's thousands of people. You have such good questions, and I want to break it down for you. I'm a custom wig maker and know way too much about hair, so let's talk about it. Next, you ask, do people grow their hair out to sell it? And yes, and I actually have one right here. And this is what she looks
Okay, girl, like literally the other day, I was getting icked out at parents who keep their baby's hair and I was in their baby teeth. And I was like, honestly, with peace and love, ew. And then she pulled up this ponytail, this braid, and I was like, ew. I was like, no, we're done. We're doing too much. We're doing too much. Okay, we're doing too much. Right? Chat says, so I think of human skin, it does feel dark, but I also think of alopecia and cancer patients. Okay, they can wear faux hair. They don't have to wear real people hair. Like, that's what I'm saying. We're not saying you can't wear a wig. We're saying, why do you have to wear people wig? You know what I mean? Can't you wear like non-people wig? And again, maybe this is like a part of the vegan journey for me where I'm like, why am I grossed out at wearing the leather and wool, but I'm not grossed out over wearing other human parts on my body? Look, Indiana, our cat, is on the verge of dying, right? She's in her hospice era. And we were like, what do we want to do with her body? And we were going over, we were Googling, and people were like, you could turn her tail into a keychain. I was like, ugh. They were like, oh, you could, take her, you could taxidermy her. And I was like, first of all, hilarious, like Scrubs, but I don't think so. And then they were like, oh, you could turn her into a diamond ring. I was like, oh, I was like, okay, seriously, take me back. Before any of this fucking capitalism came and sucked the life out of our existence. How does this not feel like exploitation? Like, my loved one just died. You want me to turn her into jewelry? Like, with peace and love, girl, bury her in the earth, do a little ceremony and move on with your life. Like, I can't help it. It's like, I don't want my cat's body parts in the house. You know what I mean? Anyways, I don't even want someone's ashes in my house. No judgment, of course. But my partner, he's like, what are you gonna do with my body? I was like, not keep it. That's for sure. Bye. Not keep it. Bury it, girl. I don't want your ashes in my house. I don't want nothing. Goodbye. Go to the next life. You died. Bye-bye. Like, I'm very much like, we got to move on. I don't want nothing in my house that is not about letting you go to the afterlife. Let me go with peace and love. No judgment on anybody else or anything else going on in your life, girlies. Okay. I'm just expressing something that is like genuinely a bubble pop for me, where I was like, this feels weird.
like. Do you notice how the tail is actually much thinner than the top? That's because you can imagine it. When you pull your hair back and cut it, you're actually going to get a ton of different lengths within one ponytail. So that's the word drawn. So when someone says this ponytail has been drawn or double drawn, that's them removing length so that they are dividing it out into the different lengths in that ponytail. So the way that I know.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Pause. Chat says I have been thinking about donating my hair. Okay. Now, I do think there's a difference, and this is the capitalism versus not capitalism argument. I'm not opposed to truly an individual out of the care, because I've donated my hair when I was a kid. I am not opposed to the goodness of your heart donating your hair. And still, like surrogacy, chat's bringing up surrogacy. I'm not a fan of surrogacy. I don't think you're a bad person for doing surrogacy. I'm also anti-egg donation and sperm donation, but not because I think it's unethical. I think it is not in the long run as, this is going to sound woo-woo. It's not as in sync, I think, with philosophical spiritual joy. Like, I just think there's something about it that feels, again, maybe because capitalism always gets its dirty fucking hands and everything, but it's just like, it's like the exploitation of it is so fucking real. So I'm not opposed to an individual, a true individual, like making a decision, like donating my hair to my friend. I think that could be beautiful. Or doing surrogacy for a family member. Maybe that could be beautiful. I think the industry is exploitative, and I'm very like hesitant to be a big fan of it. Same with sex work. I hate the sex work industry, love sex workers, you know? And so again, when we have these conversations, I also think, oh, and this plays into, sorry, I'm going to answer a question I didn't even think about answering, but I'm going to answer it right now. I did get a question about this one here. Hold on. I have it right here on screen. On the topic of hiring cleaning services, are we saying we shouldn't hire a cleaning service because paying someone else to clean your home is inherently negative when you don't need it? I hate cleaning. I don't know if OCD factors into this, but I'm diagnosed. And when budgeting, having career goals, I hope to earn enough budget for hiring cleaning services. I don't want to inadvertently take advantage of anyone, and I don't think I could stomach paying anyone less than $20 an hour living wage in my area. But is there something else in paying a person to care for you if you don't need it that's negative? So if we build a system, right, in which you have help, like the help, negative. Nobody is the help. I don't want to live in a world where people are the help. Okay. I don't think we should live in a world where people are those people. I don't think we should live in a world where, unless the cleaning service is considered like premium care, I don't want to hear anybody say like the maid. Okay. I don't want to hear anybody say like you're the, you know, I don't want it. So I think living in a world where people are dignified, equal to, just as important as, we can have those conversations. But I don't want to live in a world where people, personally, I don't want to live in a world where people are seen as like, you know, I just think that's bad. So yes, if you are disabled and need help, 100%. If we lived in a world where cleaning services would dignified work and it was like saying you were a doctor, like the same energy, then no big deal. But we don't live in that world. So we need to change the way we view these people. And we can't say like these industries are for lower paying jobs. Like even the word lower paying jobs, entry level jobs, minimum wage jobs, like there's a about it that I think we should change. Okay, so that's my issue with all of this, including surrogacy, including like donating, including like, I can't tell you how many people, somebody in my life was like, hey, should I donate sperm? I need money. And I said, fuck no, you should not donate sperm. I don't need a niece and nephew somewhere out there that I don't have contact with. And they were like, yeah, but like there, it's going to be maybe a closed situation. I was like, oh, so one of our family members, like here we are talking about sacredness of the land. And you don't think it's sacred that one of my babies is out there in the universe who looks just like me? And I'm not talking about some bioessentialism shit, guys. I'm talking about some deep spiritual shit. I'm not even talking about woo-woo either. But I'm saying if we think the earth and the dirt is so important, which it is, you don't think a niece and nephew of mine is important? Because that is my niece and nephew. Now, I don't believe that, you know, genetics make everything. I think you can have chosen family. I think you can have all these things. But I don't know why we're living in a world where we don't think, you know what I mean, that it's going to matter that somebody who looks exactly like me or who exhibits like, it's not about genetics though. I think people are so reductive and so shallow in their thinking. All they hear me saying is genetic. It's not about genetics. It's about the fact that my cat had a mother that labored her into existence so she could choose me as family. It's the fact that my mother labored 10 babies into the universe so I could be here right now in front of you. My grandma labored 17 children into the universe so I could be here today. Like, whether we like it or not, people had to labor. Labor goes into this. Sacred labor goes into this. People's bodies break. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to bring a baby into the universe. And we're just casually out here bringing babies into the universe like it's no big deal. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of think when we have these conversations, we need to see like how deeply sacred and important it is to build connection, to bring babies into the universe, to you know, care for a living creature in existence, right? We don't have any of that. We have an entitlement, an objectification. I can use your body. I can use your life. I can use your children. Hell, even parents exploit their kids by saying, I'm going to make more babies to work on the farm. What farm? What farm? Hello? Stop bringing babies into the universe to take care of you in your elderly years. Stop bringing babies into the universe to care for your farm. At the end of the day, we should be bringing babies into the universe because we care about the sacredness of stewarding life into existence. Okay? And that sounds maybe too woo-woo for people, but y'all sound like sociopaths, psychopaths, really. Like, you know, when you have these conversations about like, oh, well, you know, people are just going to have babies and we're just going to take your hair and we're going to take your skin and we're going to take everything. Like, where is the dignity in any of these? Like, where's the dignity in any of this? Okay, look at this video. Look at this.
Hey, Shani, which hair do you prefer, Russian or Brazilian hair?
What is that question? What is that question? What hair do you like? Do you know what I'm saying? They're literally going around on a website being like, "Ooh, I want Asian hair. Ooh, I want this hair." Oh, what?
Hey, Shani, which hair do you prefer, Russian or Brazilian hair?
That's a great question. I tend to gravitate towards something that feels fine and soft, that doesn't have split ends. The way you can differentiate Brazilian to Russian is that usually the Brazilian comes with the pale yellow ponytail. and these come with the colored one. This is Russian. It's a bit heavier. It's a gorgeous hair, has a bit more texture, as opposed to, let's say, this one, mine ponytail is just like heaven. Look at that. Feel of it is very similar. The trick is to mix both so you don't get a piece that's too naughty. So it really depends on what the supplier is bringing. Also on the orders we're having, I will pick the hair accordingly.
Hey, Shani, which hair do you prefer?
I just don't like the energy, bro.
This is the true
Okay, here's another example.
definition of ethically sourced human hair. I do not buy hair from individuals who are starving, homeless, or impoverished. The individual in this video is far from poor. She has livestock, grows vegetables, and she lives in a beautiful house. But human exploitation does exist within the hair extension industry, and it's commonly at the start of the
Guys, this is like a multi-billion, billion, so many billions in this industry.
supply chain. I fully understand that some of my content may trigger people, especially those who have never seen how human hair is sourced. I'm just trying to highlight how I do things within this industry. I don't buy human hair from vendors, manufacturers, or other brands, because how do I know that that hair isn't a byproduct of some form of exploitation? There are thousands of hair extension brands around the world that buy their products from manufacturers without knowing how the hair was obtained. And I could do exactly the same, but I choose not to because I want to make a difference within the hair extension industry.
So it's a bunch of people going into the industry saying, I'm going to make it more ethical. But then, and again, this is like, I understand the narrative and I think there's something to be said about ways to do it. I just don't understand why. Okay, and maybe I'm being too like spiritual about it, but it just feels like you're taking my hair to sell this for how much money? You know what I mean? Like, so how much more are you charging? Are you paying me like $20 and then you're selling it for $1,500? Like, what is the price compensation? And also, like, what does it mean to be a person who grows their hair out, not for the joy of themselves, but for the idea that they'll sell it one day? Like, people talk about this with sex work, but I need people to understand that, like, not all sex work looks the same. So, like, a photo shoot could be sex work. Taking a picture of your feet could be sex work. Like, just taking a picture of your hands could be sex work. So it allows, there's an allowance there. Again, individually, sister to sister. If my sister had cancer and wanted hair, and she was like, I really like your hair, would you donate it to me? Like, we could talk about it, you know what I mean? And also, I just don't think she would ask that of me too. And then, you know, even if she did, though, we could have that conversation. But I think there's like something to be said about why the signaling of like shaving your head because someone has cancer can be like sacred or really obnoxious. Like, it's a nice like solidarity move, or it could be like a little annoying. You know, it depends on the person, right? So again, we need to have conversations about these things. It's not just black and white to me. There's so much nuance, but also like, I don't like it. Jess says, how about something even simpler like selling your plasma, something that's important, you know? Well, I think from my understanding, blood and plasma can help a lot of people and it's still okay and a benefit to you. It depends. I do have people in my life that sell their plasma for money and it sucks that we're even at that point. And this reminds me of that musical. What's that musical where they sell their organs? It's really good. I've seen the movie version, but it's like, you know, so again, we want to donate certain things to the community. That's important. Like, being a donor can be important, but it also can be exploited. And so that's the problem with even organ donation, as I know so many people who stop being organ donors, which by the way, a majority of organ donors, women. But people stop being organ donors because they feel like they're going to die in the hospital faster because people want their organs. Look, exploitation happens, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we live in a world that exploits people. We live in a world that will let people die because they think like their life is over. Yes, Repo the Genetic Opera. Thank you. I really like that musical, but I think like that's the future we don't want. We don't want people to, okay, I'll give you another one. There was a YouTuber, and this is no judgment. Like, literally when I say this, I don't mean to judge or condemn. I'm just pointing out something interesting. There was a YouTuber who has a disease, and their parent has the disease, and they asked their audience if somebody would donate, and somebody did, and they couldn't compensate them because it's illegal. But also genetically, if they were going to have kids, I think it's like a 50% chance their kids also need an organ donation later in the future. And they decided to have children. And it's like all these conversations need to come into consideration. Like, it goes back to disability, and Crutches and Spice talking about like, you know, why you have kids is personal, but also like anyone can be disabled, anyone can need an organ donation. So like, again, I want to reference, you know, advocates who have talked about not stopping yourself from having a kid because they might need a transplant, but also what does it mean to bring babies into the universe that might need a transplant? You know, and I think about this all the time. This is such a hard decision to make for everybody, but anytime you have a child, regardless if they have a statistical probability of needing a transplant or something the like, your child is being born into a world like this. Like, sometimes even last night, I was sitting in bed, and I it's not a prayer necessarily, but I sent out a little like thought bubble, because I was just like, somebody right now is being tortured to death. Like, somebody right now is drowning. Like, somebody right now is having the worst absolute day of their life. Like, somebody right now like is, I don't even know how to conceptualize that billions of people on the planet, like millions of people this split second, are dying, like having the most horrific time of their life. Like, somebody is trapped in a basement somewhere. Like, you're driving through a neighborhood talking about how beautiful the homes are, unaware that there are 6 kids living in fecal matter because you don't even know what's happening behind those closed doors until it becomes a story on TikTok, you know? And when you think about the world in that way, it can feel very overwhelming. And you're like, oh my God. And then you have to realize like, oh my God, how like I will probably never know that pain, but it's happening to somebody. Like, it's somebody's life, you know? I think about that trans woman. I can't even think. It makes me want to vomit. Like, that video I saw on the internet, it was so bad. She was tied in a river. They watched her drown to death. They had beaten her so severely, and a bunch of men just watched around and laughed. And as people tried to help her, they shot them or they stopped them from helping her. And she just died screaming, like asking for help. And I'm just thinking, like, what makes it possible for you to sit and watch that? Like, what is happening in your brain, in your experience, and the way you were raised, or the way that you have it? What makes you able to do that to somebody? Like, I don't have that in my body. I don't have that in my, so then the question is like, why do those people exist? It's not just about culture or people or parents, or it's something else, like something not magical, obviously. I don't believe in that, but it's so gross. And I do think it's like a ends justify the means, dog eat dog world, whatever. Like, it's this idea that we all have to survive, and this is our way of surviving. And I think the romanticization of struggle is real. And I think it exists even in communities where they beat people to death, like in communities where they kill people to death. Like, you know, I think about just like the romanticization of the mafia or gang culture or whatever else. There is something romantic about this idea of like people in the community rising up to sort of like police neighborhoods or take care of their communities, or get transformed into what looks like, you know, again, patriarchal behavior. But I think that's the dilemma, is like, I think we have this idea, like, look, if our own family and friends are most likely going to be the ones who rape or kill us, then does it really matter if they're in a gang or not? Like, does it really matter? Like, it's just like, I think sometimes we live in a world where we romanticize, the we had to story. We had to do it because of this. We had to do it because of that. It's like, yeah, I think you probably did have to do it because of whatever. And also you didn't have to. But how do you get to the point where you don't have to? And that's the part we need to get to, is how do we get to the point where we don't feel like the story is, I had to, you don't understand. You know? I saw that the other day, some man was saying, It's so gross that women think we want to go to war. We were forced to go to war. Yeah, for sure. I think little boys are drafted unconsensually against their will into a war they didn't decide to fight. And that also comes from a patriarchal culture and a traditional culture that doesn't allow men to be femme or express themselves in different gendered ways. And it's never going to work. Like, we're going to talk about the gender war today. There is no gender war. Like, I'm not at war with men. I'm in conflict with patriarchy, but anybody that upholds patriarchy is going to come at the detriment of everybody else. But I don't know why we're pretending like men actually want to dismantle patriarchy. They just want to complain about it, but not dismantle it. And some women too, obviously, but there's a group of women that are working, a group of femmes, LGBT, queer people that are fighting to dismantle patriarchy. And it's gonna take a long time because it's not very many of us, you know? Okay, look at this video.
Question we get all the time is, where do we source our hair? Our hair comes from Eastern Europe and Brazil. I specifically like the Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair because it is a little softer and has more diversity in terms of texture and color. But not every hair is created equal. I actually have to go through thousands and thousands of kilograms of hair to pick out the best ponytail. I'm checking for split ends, texture, and how the hair reacts after it's been washed. Our hair is 100% virgin hair, so the texture of curls that you see here or the silky straight of this wig is actually non-processed or chemically treated. You know, if you want to see a specific color or texture,
Bro, the wall, look at the
like
wall.
the Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair, where do we source our hair? Our hair comes from
Look, it looks like literally like when you see it, now I can't help but see like women, like the women it represents or the humans. It could be men, it could be anybody. But now I'm just like looking at it like it's almost like heads to me.
Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair.
Like, look at
because
this.
It is
People's lives, people's memories, people's loved ones, the amount of hands that stroke this hair, the amount of love that went into this hair, the amount of memories. Maybe your baby pulled on your hair and like that's a memory for you. And now it's just being sold.
how the hair reacts after of this wig.
Look at that. And now I just see this and I just think of like, oof. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like hunting trophies, chat says. Yeah, it just looks like hunting trophies. That's that's exactly what it looks like. I never thought about this before. Like, I just never thought about it before. And now I'm just like sick to my stomach. Everything that we are, even we are being, guys, like, we are literally being harvested. Like, in that sense, like, we ourselves, it's not even coming from a genuine place of donation. It's coming from a desperate place. Like, how many of these people are genuinely happy to sell their hair? And how many of them feel like, okay, I can do it to make money? Like, and this is why we're talking about sex work should never be coerced. Like, you should never be a sex worker because you need money. Like, you know, it's too vulnerable of a job. I don't think, like, this is a different kind of labor. Like, this is a different kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is different. And also, no matter your job, you shouldn't be considered a lower person, regardless of your job. Okay, next video.
This hair vendor is trending for cutting the hair of a Vietnamese girl to make wigs. The aim of this video was to show her customers that she produces raw human hair. While some people are not comfortable with the process, others want to know how to get the wig.
I'm sorry I'm going to cut your hair, but this is what we do for living. Thank you so much for allowing me to cut your hair. So I just wanted to show you guys how we get the baby tin hair. It's gotten from a real Vietnamese hair and we're just going to do the cutting. So I had to take permission from them to do the cutting because I want to prove to you guys that we sell raw dono. And that's raw dono. We are in the factory and we will take you around. So we'll start the process. All right. Okay, hold on, I think I have to go like this. Oh my gosh! We made it! Finally, we have a single donor raw baby tin hair!
This hair vendor
Chet says, Britt, how do you sleep after ruminating on that? Well, I'm not ruminating. I'm thinking. Rumination is not the same thing. 2, I'm meditating. So I meditate. I send, you know, it's always about radical acceptance. I radically accept I live in a world that is this world. And then I let it go, right? Like at the end of the day, I think that's why my practice of radical acceptance, I know people aren't, you know, they're not thinking about it. and my practice is to think about it and put it in its place, right? Like people just shut themselves off from it. I try to recognize it, embrace it, take it, honor it, and then put it back where it belongs. That's my meditation practice. Okay, next.
Come with me to the village in Cambodia to cut hair. I chose her because her hair was nice and full and I needed it to match up.
I hate that language. Listen to that.
Cambodia to cut hair. I chose her because her hair was.
I chose her. Girl, it's like you got a bunch of girls in a lineup and you're like, this one. I will take this one's hair. Sam I Am. I don't like it, Sam I Am. I don't like it. No.
Nice and full, and I needed it to match other bundles that I've already purchased in Cambodia. Just me cutting the hair, just me going through it. I knew exactly what I want, and I wanted to understand the Cambodia communities, you know, why women grow their hair for years before selling it. I learned that it's a way for them to support their family. It's a way.
Oh, so it is a way to support their family. So it is exploitative. Do they want the hair? Have you ever thought that maybe they want long hair? Do these women even have a choice? Do these men even have a choice to have long hair? Or are they denied their right to have long hair because they need to feed their families? That's what I'm saying. How is this not exploitative? Now you're taking from their literal family, like you're taking they don't even have a right to their bodies. Do they even have a choice? This is what I'm saying.
For them to pay for their children's education, even cover medical experience or create.
Okay, so now they need it for medical bills and education. Great.
Financial opportunities. It's just not hair, it's a sacrifice, and it's something that I don't take lightly. As I was cutting her hair, she really couldn't believe that her hair was gone. So I paid her more than what they asked for just because she sat down and she did this for me.
Well, she didn't do it for you, Habibi, with peace and love, respectfully. She did it because she's in a position of struggle where she has to pay for her kids to live. So she has to grow out her hair so you can buy it. Once every, 5 years? What are we talking about? She didn't do it for you. You just said she did it to feed her kids, to pay for their education. And yes, I appreciate that she paid them extra, but now what? That's only good for what? How many years could she do this?
She was just so shy. She was so grateful, and this was just a beautiful experience. It actually brought tears to my eyes, but I definitely would do it again.
And then she said, I definitely would do it again. I can't see it the same anymore. I can't see it the same anymore. I can't. It's ruined for me. Ruined. Okay. So again, when we have conversations about like bringing kids into the universe, you know, making peace with the fact that existence is this way, what we're making peace with is the reality of the situation is all of us, even the best, most well-intentioned people, we're taking advantage of each other. Like anyone can exploit you even with a smile on their face, even when they don't mean to. I don't think this woman means to. I think all of these people that are buying this real human hair are probably not even thinking about it, just like I never thought about it. Just like we're never thinking about everything we're ever doing. Like, I can't tell you guys, before we stop shopping at Amazon, except in like very rare emergency cases, I used to buy Amazon all of the time. All of the time. Just, girl, Amazon was prime. Everything on Amazon, new packages at my door all the time. I probably given Amazon $20,000. You know what I mean? Over the years, like I have absolutely bought everything on Amazon, right? When we decided to go Amazon free, again, no ethical consumption under capitalism, on a very rare occasion, I think 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years, we've had to buy from Amazon or whatever it's been. And when, and now I don't even know like what we were doing before that we needed Amazon so bad. Now I'm like, what was I even buying on Amazon? Now I'll tell you this though, there was a learning period of recognizing like how easy Amazon made it. And so now I just don't shop as much. And now we're living on a budget anyways, but I now go to the store. I now get on the bus and go local. And that's kind of our focus. And yes, it is a pain in the ass to leave the house. But also, it's nice to buy local. Like, I got all these flowers local. I, got to leave the house for the day. I got to even, whatever it is, I have workout equipment right here. We bought local and that was nice. Like that was, it changes the way I feel about my community. It feels better, So anyways, when we have these conversations, I I'm never trying to erase how layered and complex this all is. It's just an example of like, even I, for the rest of my life, will have so many bubble pops of awareness of like, oh no, we got to talk about this. And also, this is horrible. And also, like, what the fuck? And also, no wonder we're not thinking about these things. We're not trained to. I've never thought about real human wigs before. I just never thought about it, you know? And now I'm like, uh-oh. I don't like it. Sam, I don't like it, you know? Chess says, fortunately, hair is something that grows back, but having to sell a part of yourself to support yourself is just sad and exploitative in general. For sure. For sure. Right? I don't like it. Chad said, honestly, happy you had a bubble pop on this important and it's important and never talked about. Yeah, it's never talked about. It's never talked about. And I just like, wow. I'm telling you, the vegan journey is really changing my relationship with us too, because veganism, though it is about exploitation of non-human animals, we never think about the exploitation of ourselves and all the nuanced ways that it happens. And this is one of them. Like growing things out of my own body, like of my own spirit, and then to cut it off so I can get money to pay for groceries. Like, but again, this is because of the way that the system works. Again, if I individually want to donate my hair to a loved one, that is different than what we're seeing here. Same with sex work. If I want to create works of art that people happen to buy and jerk off to, but if I think to myself, I'm in a really bad place, should I do this exploitative thing in order to make money? No. And that includes any job you're doing. If you're doing hard labor in construction and you're working with an abusive boss, but you have to pay your bills, like you don't deserve to be exploited that way. It is exploitation regardless of the industry you're in. And you have to realize like if you're being exploited. And then that's why we rally. That's why we build unions. It's why we protest on behalf of workers, because no worker deserves to be exploited. None of them. And I think sometimes under patriarchy, men wear it like as a badge of honor. Like, look at me, I'm getting cancer and working in the mines, and look at the work I'm putting my body through. And I'm saying like, this is not the brag you think it is. This is the brag that capitalism has convinced you, patriarchy has convinced you is a brag so it can keep you working. And I'm saying, stop doing that to yourself. Stop letting yourself be exploited. And it's not, sorry, let me rephrase. Stop believing the conditioning that you have been taught your whole life that you being exploited is a part of your gender experience. Okay? It's not that you're letting yourself be exploited. It's that you are believing the bullshit about the exploitation that's related to your gender. And that includes for all genders of all people in all expressions. Okay? Okay, let's see. Chat says exactly, it's so normalized. AI didn't think about it until I did. And then I was like, oh, ew, AI normalized? Oh, I didn't think about it until I did. I thought you meant AI. I think it's a typo. And I was like, AI? No, I didn't think about it until, yeah, exactly. But that's why I call it a bubble pop, where you live with this perception, you live with this idea, and then you hear a piece of information, you're like, wait a second. And now my whole life is going to change. I cannot keep living now that I know this in the same way that I was living before. And that's really what a bubble pop is, kind of crazy. Chet says, I worked at Amazon and it was horrible. I was fired and it was the best thing that happened to me. I was able to get a better paying work from home job. Love that. Congratulations on your firing. Sometimes getting fired is a blessing, let me tell you. Right? Chet says, something I never thought about until someone brought it up was how exploitative IVF is, because these women are being paid to carry a baby that isn't theirs in order to support themselves. Well, the surrogacy of it all, right? I don't know. IVF in particular, isn't IVF specifically different than surrogacy? But either way, I think even that, I think Chelsea Fagan was talking about this in her latest video. I didn't finish it for the record, but when I was watching it, she was talking about the overpromising these businesses do to people who can't have children and how exploited these couples are about doing IVF treatment or about doing all these things, because there's no guarantee you'll have that baby. So even freezing your eggs or creating embryos or whatever you're doing, like these businesses get paid whether you get a baby or not. And so again, my brain is just like not about it. I refuse. On principle, I refuse. It just doesn't make sense. And by the way, don't even get me started on adoption agencies and how much babies need to be adopted and how much of that is exploitative. Oh my God, the way we are trafficking children, without a doubt. Guys, if parents want to keep their babies, give their babies up for a better life, those parents need to be helped, not their children taken away. So many of the children in adoption agencies have parents who want them but can't afford to care for them. What? when I used to think adoption was the most amazing thing, I researched into it because I wanted to adopt, and I was like, like these parents literally write on the applications, would love an open adoption, would love contact with my kid, just can't afford to. Wait, just give these parents money. Why am I somebody give them money? Why should I have to take their kid? Why are we doing this? Okay. Anyways, that's my morning rant for today. We'll move on. But okay, just remember that exploitation comes in all shapes and sizes. And even when we think we're doing well, and even when we think we're helping people, it's okay to meditate on it. Meditate. Because like, whoa. Okay. Oh my God. I'll never be able to unsee it. I'll never unsee it. It really is like that. It really is like that. Like you can't unsee it. It's crazy. All right. Let's take a 2-second break and then I'll come back and we'll get into the next topic. You can listen to some Elvin while I'm away. Ugh. Okay, pausing music in 1, 2, 3. I love this one. It's like so sad and vampiric. This one from Elvin, links in the description for her music. Okay. Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, save me from my decisions. Sometimes I sing Christian ballads to my partner just to ick them out. I'll be like, the Lord sent you to me to be my husband. And he's like, gross. And I'm like, how do you torture your atheist husband? Jesus sent you to me. Oh, that's how we have fun in this marriage. Okay. Oh, I'm so funny. I really think I'm so funny. Chad says that's hilarious. I'm gonna do it to mine now. I'm telling you, bro, it's so funny. I don't know why I think I'm so funny. Chad says I unfortunately love singing my Christian music. Listen, okay, our God is an awesome God, always hits, you know. Oh, hold on here. Okay. Okay, so this next topic will be fun, I think. I think it will also be a little triggering. So let's watch this woman give advice to people. Don't let your child be weird. What do we think about this?
Parents, do not let your child be weird. Now, I made a post about this a while back, and it's funny, I've seen a lot of people who have taken it since then and then put their own spin on it. But let me be very clear on what that means, because I was a teacher for 20 years. I taught every level, lots of kids with varying exceptionalities, and have seen it in the classroom. Let me tell you what you need to avoid. Yes, your child should be unique. Yes, they should have their own style. Yes, they don't need to be exactly like everyone else. However, if your child has habits and tendencies that are causing them to be ostracized in school, they do not have peer relationships, it has gone too far. As a parent, you need to parent them. Your job is not to just love them and let them be however they want to be and send them out, because what you're doing is you're sending them out to ridicule and scorn and no positive peer relationships. Instead, you need to lovingly guide them and instruct them from a place of love so that they can go out and make positive relationships. So if your child does not have any peer relationships because you have allowed them to continue with habits and proclivities that are causing them to be considered too odd to fit in at all, then you are setting them up for a life of struggle, because those peer relationships just grow up with them, and then they're going to struggle to fit in with people as an adult in the job field and to create relationships in general. So that is where you do not let your child be too weird to be able to have actual relationships with peers.
Okay, hold on. This could mean so many things. But let's do a little research to see exactly what she means. So let me do this. First, I want to, because she's obviously a conservative. So that's the first thing. I think we can all see that. But yet, there's a part of me that does think I know what she means. But then a part of me is like, but what do you mean by that though, ma'am? Okay, now I want to, okay, let me see. I can't find this video I wanted to show you in relationship to this. Let me see if I can grab it really fast. Hold on here. What's that UK news radio show? LGB, LD, LB, somebody from the UK. Any British people here? What's that like a news show that all the people watch that comes up on my feed sometimes? What is it called? LBC? They had a video about a grown man living at his dad's house. And I kind of thought it was interesting. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second, guys. Hold on. Da, 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 da. This one. Look at this. Look at this video.
School during the pandemic. He hasn't been able to get himself into work for the past sort of 6 years, but it's not really him not being able to. It's the fact that he's obviously got issues with going to work and being out there and all that sort of stuff.
What sort of issues? What do you mean?
He's anxious.
Yeah.
He doesn't like authority. He prefers to be at home in this room playing PlayStation.
Yeah.
We've evicted him from the house a few times, but he's come back. When you've got young people, and you know that they've got depression, and they're your son and your family, you've got really no help from anybody in authority whatsoever. And in the sense that I can't force him to go to the doctor. I can't force him to go and seek help, even though we've desperately tried to. My son,
Okay, so let's keep that in mind because, I heard both of these TikToks this morning and people had sent me the weird mom one. A few of you sent it to me and I already had it on my to watch list. So we're all on the same wavelength here. Obviously, I think there's a lot of nuance here because I actually have a strong stance against like you're being too weird, get your shit together. And that includes like picking your nose and eating your boogers. Like I've seen way too many men pick their nose and eat their boogers. I've seen way too many grown men eat their toenails on stream. I've seen way too many grown people do disgusting fucking shit and not realize that it's fucking weird. And they just are like, what's the difference between biting your nails and doing this? There's a difference. And even then, stop biting your fucking nails. I get it. But I do think there is a conversation to have about like in relationship to all of this. I also think there's another layer to these kids will grow up to be adults. And I could not imagine being an adult that takes advantage of my parents. Like this kid, this caller makes me think like, why are you taking advantage of your parents? And if your parents really know you're depressed and you have an issue with authority, like why are you using it to spend all that time doing PlayStation? Like lock in. And like, I think the dilemma is that it's multi-layered. So obviously there's nothing wrong with not having a job if you also labor for your community. So I think like this gentleman, when I think of his kid and how he grew up, I think about a kid who's taking advantage of his parents because ultimately he's not laboring for the community. I bet if he was doing chores, helping around the house, being a participant, they wouldn't care if he played PlayStation all day. I think the dilemma is that he's playing PlayStation all day while he doesn't contribute. Okay. So I think that's the layer there. Going back to this lady, the comment here that stands out to me is this one up top says, I get heat for this, but anime is a no in this house. It opens a lot of doors and to social circles and groups that are weird. Interesting, because I grew up super conservative and my parents watched anime with us. I grew up really conservative and my parents watched Ghibli with us. So it is sort of interesting. Now, I'll tell you some advantages and disadvantages to also being a weird kid. I was a very weird kid. And my mother defended me to a T, but I'm just going to let you know, she also wouldn't get me medicated or any kind of help in school because she accepted my weirdness. And she was like, my daughter's weird, but that's Brittany and that's who she is. But then when parents would be like, hey, your daughter needs ADHD meds, my mom would be like, no, that's just who Brittany is. And I don't want to take her spark away. So when we have conversations about your kid being weird, I think there is something to be said about like what level of weird. Another example I think of when I see these videos is I worked with a lot of weird guys when I did one-on-one calls. I worked with a lot of men who struggled socially. And one guy in particular, autistic, and he just like would not stop looking at my breasts no matter what I wore. And I tried to change it up. I would wear more modest clothing and then he would notice. He'd be like, oh, you're wearing a sweater today. And I was like, you need to get your shit together. He was a college graduate, complained about living with his parents, nearly 40, always complaining about his parents, but couldn't stop looking at my tits. And I was like, autism or no autism, you cannot look at people's tits. And he was just like, he just like couldn't keep it together. He was weird. Your son is weird. And like, that's the thing is like, I don't know if it's his autism or what, but like you're being fucking weird and you're making everybody uncomfortable. There are so many socially awkward men that yes, like if you do not intercept as fast as possible, will be the kids who never have friends because they grow up to be men that are uncomfortable. Like so many socially awkward people like will hang out, follow women in the stores. They're just, you know what I'm saying? Like when we have these conversations, I think there is something that we have to talk about the weirdness of your kid growing up and being like too unable to socialize. Now, I will say this though, if your kid is weird but healthy, they will find other friends. There are so many weird, healthy people in the world. And I just think like we exist in all these circles, but even my community, we're weird, healthy, but we have to stay on our toes for the unhealthy weirdos, because the unhealthy weirdos also gravitate towards us and we have to be like, no. Okay. So I think that's the dilemma. Like, is your kid's friend healthy weird or unhealthy weird? You know what I mean? I think that's the question. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go to her page. So she's obviously conservative, right? She has faith, fit family. Okay, that's just MAGA. Let me see if we can see. I'm not sure what the original video was. Let me go to her most popular because I bet it probably got most popular. Let's see. Let your kids. Okay, let's see what this one is.
You need to let your kids wear the popular clothes that the other kids around them are wearing. Now, let me explain a little bit more about that. I don't mean if it's inappropriate, it conflicts with your values, it's too exposing, or if it's a type of clothes that's going to put them in a group of kids that you don't want them to participate with. But I am saying in general, you want to let your kids wear the regular clothes that all the other kids around them are wearing, because they need this to feel good socially and to fit in. So let me tell you a little story. Back when I was in 6th grade, I moved to Florida. My mom had been raised in South Carolina and I had been the first 10 years, and it was much more conservative there. And this was like late 80s. So we're talking like V-neck sweaters, collared shirts, pleated trousers, penny loafers. Like that was how everybody dressed. But we moved to the beach of Florida, which was much more casual. In 6th grade, I strongly have this memory of my mom getting me this red pair of dress pants, these pleated dress pants. It was not what the other kids wore. And she was insistent that I would wear this anyway, that she had bought them, that it looked nice. And was it perfectly nice? Yes, but I was horrified by these pants. I'm looking at these pants. I decided, how can I make them better? Because she said I had to wear them. I decided that if I rolled them a few times on the bottom, that would make them somewhat better. I rolled them and she saw that. She was absolutely not. They're not made to be rolled. That looks ridiculous. Unroll them. So I walked to school. Of course, I re-rolled them on my way to school.
Of course.
As an 11-year-old
As you
would
should.
do. I wore them rolled. The entire day, I was absolutely and utterly miserable. In this particular case.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna like challenge everybody in the chat who has a lot of strong opinions about this. Do you not remember how mean kids are? Are all of you forgetting how mean your fucking kids are? I don't know about you, but begging my mother to buy me clothes I wanted to wear in school was very important. You know what I mean? So I don't know what experience you're having, but I feel like some of you forgot how bad kids bully. Okay? So with peace and love, if I beg my mom to buy me a shirt I really want to wear, like because my friends have it and I really want to wear it, and my mom said no, holy fuck. Thanks, Mom, for putting me in a big social position. Okay, so like, again, when we have these conversations, not every kid can be super confident and rebellious and stand out and not care. Most of us, even in punk circles, which I was a part of, still needed to put patches on her jeans, still needs to have the right holes in her jeans, still need to have the right Converse. Even the punks at my school were like, where'd you get those Converse? Are they real Converse? Are they high top Converse? Low top Converse? Gross. So again, like, we all need to lock in and remember that when you set your kid off from school, they're away from you 8 hours a day. With children, you don't know what's happening. So remember, like, regardless if you agree with her, regardless if she's triggering you the way she looks, remember that this could actually help you, because you don't know what your kids are doing when they're away from you for 8 hours with strangers who are saying things to them, who are looking at them in a particular way. So just remember how hard school is for kids, okay? And you can disagree with her if you want.
No one made fun of me, so that was good, because that absolutely can happen too. But I had a miserable day because I felt so miserable in this outfit that was so different from what anybody else would wear. Then, of course, on my way home from school, I unrolled them, unbeknownst to me that when you roll trousers like that, when you cuff them, they're going to have creases from having been rolled the whole day. It was very obvious what I had done. So I get home, my mom takes one look at those pants. She's like, did you roll those pants after I told you not to? And of course, what did I do? I said no. So then I got a bad spanking for disobeying and rolling the pants, and for
wow, that's fucked up.
Lying about it. And the memory of the spanking, I don't even really remember that part. It was more the part of the humiliation that I felt the whole day at school wearing those pants. And the fact that my mom didn't hear me. She did not listen and understand how important it was to me not have to wear something so different.
Exactly. Does nobody relate to this?
From everyone else. When kids start hitting that age from 5th grade on, this becomes such a huge thing to them. And here I am 30 something years later, still with that vital core memory. So this was
so right now she's putting the responsibility on the parent. She's saying the adults weren't listening to me as a child.
My mind today, because at church, I like to dress up for church. I kind of feel like, you know, we can wear our best for God, right? We dress up for other events. We certainly can dress up for God. And last week though, London started the middle school group. So she went upstairs to the big middle school group. Now she's going to be one of the youngest kids because she's just going to be rolling up into middle school. She wore a dress last week, but this Sunday morning when she was getting ready, I really noticed all the kids dress very casually up there. And they do. Our church, by and large, is pretty casual. So she came downstairs wearing a sweatshirt. It's cold up there, and these kids in their hoodies, and a pair of jean shorts. I absolutely let that happen because she wasn't wearing anything inappropriate. And I know how important it is for her to wear the same type of clothes as other kids are wearing because it's so important for her to fit in socially. And do I want her to enjoy going to youth group at church? Absolutely. So when all the kids came downstairs, I noticed quite a few of the girls did have on those same type of clothes. So this was just in my head this morning, the value and importance of listening to your kids, giving value to their opinions, what's going to make them feel more comfortable, as long as it doesn't conflict with your value structure. So let your...
Okay. She's probably conservative, definitely voted for Trump, but we love a person who's trying to break a generational curse. Okay. She's trying to update. She's trying to learn from her own childhood trauma. We love that. I will give flowers to flowers where flowers are due. And I will still say, like, we all know who she voted for. Okay. But yeah, I think that's really great. Like, I think that's really important for our parents to listen to us and to consider, like, and again, my mom tried her best. I think I very much did feel like my mother listened to me a lot, though there were instances in which she wouldn't. Like, shaving my legs for the first time was such a fucking battle with my mother. I was like 12 years old. I had hairy ass legs and kids were already pointing it out. And I was like, I want to wear my capris, but I don't want to wear them with no shaved legs. And she bought me these like 5 pair of capris and they were floral. Of course, I love floral since I was a kid. And it was just like, my mom was like, I just want you to be comfortable in your body without needing to shave. I was like, I don't care what you want. I am being literally targeted, like, by homeschool kids. Boys are telling me I have hobbit feet. As to be fair, I think they're flirting with me. But also the boys are looking at my hairy arms and saying like, oh my God, I've never seen so much hair in a girl. But these boys also liked me. It was very confusing. I was like, so do you like me or do you not like me? And they're like, well, I like you, but also you have hobbit feet. I was like, I don't know what that means. And like, it was confusing. And these are homeschool dynamics, not to mention when I went to public school. And so again, if I had a kid and they were genuinely like, hey, I'm ready to shave my legs, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then as they get older, we can unlearn patriarchal standards of shaving legs, which I did, which I eventually did deconstruct. I liberated myself from the need to shave my leg hair, but we're acting like kids aren't in vulnerable positions where conforming sometimes is out of survival. Like, we want to talk about survival of the fittest. You're a fucking 35-year-old adult complaining about the patriarchy and having to show up in a particular way. You think it's much easier for a 12-year-old? Do you think it's much easier for a 12-year-old? You're 35 and you're too pussy to go out in the way you want to look. Pussy was a patriarchal word. I shouldn't have used it. My bad. I was getting passionate. Listen, I'm just so sick of adults acting like it's not hard for you and then you're like not imagining how hard it is for a kid. If it's hard for you as an adult, it is 17 billion times harder for a kid. Okay? So I don't want to hear any adult here who's too, not secure enough to show up exactly how they want to in public and don't understand social games, and then you expect me to not to feel that way about children, okay? I'm really fighting for the kids today, okay? I'm just so sick of living in a world where adults are like, I can't go out this way, I can't look this way, I can't do anything, and then you're sitting here like, oh my God. You might disagree with this lady, you know what I mean? But let's be real. Our kids need to be protected, and that includes, I'm sorry, if I had a kid, I wouldn't let them be a weirdo. I'd let them be a cool weirdo, but not a weirdo. They're not grown up yet to handle the social ostracization of being a weirdo. Their mom might be a weirdo, but like, I don't trust the school system not to do that. And this is why a lot of liberal leftist people end up homeschooling their kids as well, because their kids are autistic. They are too weird. They are not socializing the same way. High school dynamics suck ass and they extend into adulthood. And I don't know why we're pretending that this isn't a real thing. You know what I mean? Like, again, when you bring a baby into the universe, we don't bring babies into a good universe. We bring them into a universe of hierarchies, dominance, ostracization, and bullying. And so again, if you send your baby to school, you have to understand that baby is being thrown into a lion's den. Okay? Chet says this just seems like victim blaming instead of blaming the bullies. We're saying the weird kids need to conform. No, we're not saying the weird kids need to conform, because there's a line in the sand. The weird kids don't need to conform because there's different kinds of weird. Every child is conforming. I think you're forgetting bullies are also conforming. Bullying is a part of the culture, and people bully other people to be seen as cool. Bullying is also conforming. A lot of the weirdest kids you know turn into bullies because they want to be seen as cool. So your weird kids also include kids who bully. I will not let my kid be a weird kid. I will not let you be a bully. That's another part of you being a weirdo. Why are you bullying these people to fit in? That's what bullying is. It's not even who you are. So again, the most nuanced perspective of this is kids who are popular are also conforming. Because, who are they playing it up for? Everybody is trying to appear like they know what's going on. And the question is, how do we make sure that people understand that this is a natural part of being a person as well? Because we're judgy, right? So no, it's not about weird kids having to conform. And also, guys, there is a difference between like weird kids who are eating their boogers, like don't do that. Weird kids who are following your girls into locker rooms and staring at their tits, not cool. Guys who are taking pictures of girls and sending their nudes around, you're being so fucking weird. You're a weirdo. You're a bad weirdo. Those are all weirdo behaviors. And there's the weirdos that are like, they're fine. They're wearing tails at school, but like, it's cool. All their friends do it and they have a clique. That's different. If you have a clique at school where all of you are wearing tails, okay, you're cool now. See how you made it cool? Because all of you are doing it. If you can make your weirdo-ness a community effort, great, because then you're a crew. You know what I mean? But if you're an unethical weirdo, absolutely fucking not. And that includes taking pictures of your friends at school and running it through AI to make porn. You're a weirdo. You're a fucking weirdo. Okay, you're a weirdo. Don't do that. And boys are doing that. They're literally running their teachers through AI and making porn out of it. Your kid is a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like that's okay to say that. Okay? Jet says, they have entire schools that teach ABA that teaches autistic kids to be normal like dogs. Is that what we want? No, that's not what we want. Hi, are we having a different conversation? Whoop, whoop. I can't whistle, but like, are we having a different conversation? Hello? Are we having a different fucking conversation? I'm not talking about that, right? Chet says, but shaving isn't necessary. Not shaving for girls and women would be normalized, not the other way around. Who are you shadowboxing in my chat, bro? Am I going to mute you? Who are you shadowboxing? Stay on topic. You know what I mean? Like, stay on fucking topic. Come on, lock in, bro. Stay on topic. Chet says, I think we're getting confused between the actual definition of weird and then the self-proclaimed I'm a weird weirdo. I'm weird, I'm a weirdo. Yeah, I think people are getting fucking lost in the sauce, bro. Again, your job as an adult is to give your kid the best chance ever. And that includes, if they are weird, making sure they're ethical weird and not unethical weird. Okay? Chet says, did you see they're cutting up books and scanning the pages into AI? No, I didn't see that. Chet says, I see TikToks where adults who used to cosplay middle school, high school make fun of themselves, and I get so sad for them because I have zero regrets about wearing fun costumes at school. Yeah, like that's the thing is like, this is layered, but I am a weirdo, but I would make sure that my kid understood like boundaries with people, because sometimes I do forget, or I think you guys forget, that sometimes our kids hear the message of I need to be authentically myself to the point of violating other people's consent. Like, I think we forget that that's a thing. You need to be an ethical weirdo. Okay, so an unethical weirdo, bad. Ethical weirdo, good. But to be an ethical weirdo, you need guidance. Okay, so you can't make people feel uncomfortable with you. Like, you can't pressure people into like accepting you. It's like the movie Mean Girls. You know the movie Mean Girls, how the premise of the story is that they're actually all mean, but the imagery is that only the popular girls are mean. That's what I'm saying. Just because your kid is a weirdo doesn't mean they're not a bully. Just because your kid is goth doesn't mean they're not a fucking rapist. Just because your kid is gay doesn't mean they're not a conservative. Like, that movie is a perfect example. Like, they're all mean girls. And my kid is not going to be in that category. You are not going to be a weirdo plus mean. You're not going to be a popular plus mean. You're not going to be a fucking bully. And also, You're not going to be the weird autistic kid who says shit out of pocket because you can't control your fucking mouth. And then you're going to sit there and say it's your autism. I don't care if it's your autism. You can't stare at people's boobs. Okay? You can't say shit out of pocket like, I wonder what your pussy smells like, because, bro, I've been in those social situations and these autistic men just let everything fucking come out of their mouths. Okay? I'm serious. I'm so dead serious. I don't care what you are, autistic, neurodivergent. I don't care what you are. You have to watch your goddamn fucking mouth. Okay? I'm so fucking serious right now. You need to tell your kids to watch their fucking mouths. And I say that as somebody who said a lot of fucking shit out loud I should never have said because I was trying to fit in. Okay? I'm dead serious. I feel like I know I'm old and I've socialized in a lot of groups. People really just say shit. You know how many men have grabbed my pussy literally before Trump ever even said it and thought it was what I wanted because I was flirting with them? And I was like, why would you grab my crotch? They're like, I just thought that was the move. You thought the move was to grab my crotch? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, that's so fucking stupid. You're so fucking weird. And they're like, I don't know why I thought that was the move. I was like, because nobody fucking raised you. Literally, true story. True fucking story. Grabbed me just like that. And I was like, I was literally so shocked. I was flirting. But girl, why was that the next move? We didn't even clarify if we, you know what I'm saying? So again, when we have these conversations, okay? Are you unethical weird? Ethical weird. Okay? Are you chill as fuck and a furry? Or are you weird as fuck and a furry? You know, it's not about being a furry. It's about whether or not you're fucking weird. And like, get another word if you want to use a different word. But like, you're being weird. It's okay. It's okay for a bunch of girls to be like, hey, that guy's being really fucking weird. And it's true that the guy is being really fucking weird. Okay? So when we have these conversations, okay, just like we're shorthanding in many ways, because like how many obvious examples could we give, right? Just as having pale legs even got you bullied, so I wore black tights every time I wore a skirt in high school. And like yes, we want these kids to be different, but we're acting like the system is gonna. It's like saying, parents shouldn't have to warn their children about interacting with police officers because it should be on the police not to attack children. Okay, girl, sure. But we don't live in that world, okay? Oh, gay kids and trans kids shouldn't have to worry about getting bullied because we shouldn't have to live in that world. Okay, girl, you go ahead and raise your kids with no fucking defense. You go ahead and raise your kids ignorant. You go ahead and raise your kids without any fucking readiness about the world they're being born into. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what we're saying. We're saying protect your fucking kids against the world that is fucking harsh, bro. Like, protect your kids by giving them the tools. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many kids we got to see bullied to death for us to recognize, like, you got to protect your kids from who they're hanging out with, who they're socializing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we pretending this isn't all connected? It's all connected, girlies. And I'm saying don't be blinded by your own personal experience to forget that there are parents who have to sit down and have very serious conversations with their kids about life and death situations, because the world isn't this perfect place. Like, we're not going to be able to tell the bullies not to kill our kids or target our children or push them into a corner or bully them out of school. Like, hello? You know what I'm saying? And just a reminder, I was bullied out of high school by my own fucking first cousin. And I knew I shouldn't have come out to her. I had every instinct. She was my best friend at the time, all our childhood. And I thought, I'm going to hesitate to come out to her. I come out to her and boom, I start getting bullied. She starts spreading rumors about me. All the girls in our group go, Brittany, did you do this? Were you mean to her? And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I was so severely bullied, I had to leave school by my own blood relative. I knew something in my gut told me. And you know what? Years later, I confronted her as a grown adult girl. As a grown adult, I confronted her and I said, why did you do that? She goes, Brittany, I never did that. I was like, yes, you did do that. She goes, I never said that. I was like, you did say it, girl. Your father confronted me. Your dad demanded if I was gay. I got courted in my office, my dad's office with his brother, your father, and my own father, asking me, are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay? And I'm like, ooh. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, girl, you're the reason shit went down. And she goes, I never did that. I don't think so. I never did that. And everyone in the family just went. So again, with peace and love, my cousin's a weirdo. She's an unethical weirdo. To this day, no one knows in the family why she did it. I don't know why she did it. And then I ended up coming out 21 anyway. So joke's on you, girl. I'm gay and in public. Okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we all have stories about being bullied in high school. We all have stories about being ostracized. And look, the one thing my parents did for me in that moment is I begged my mom to take me out of school, and she went and advocated for me. She did. She went to the principal's office. She goes, you get my daughter out of this school. She doesn't deserve this. I called my father. I was like, come pick me up. Something bad happened in school. I was at school for 15 minutes before the crowd of girls in my group started targeting me and cornered me. And they're like, did you do this? I was like, no, I didn't do this. What are you talking about? And they go, did you do? My dad picks me up and I'm crying the whole way home. And he was like, you never have to go to that school again. And that's what I'm saying. Like, whether you know it or not, this is so nuanced and layered. You don't know what kids are going through. And if parents can do one thing, it's see how people are treating their kids at school and give them the tools to do better, even if that means homeschooling their kid. I went to independent study after that. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, okay? We need to understand that whether or not you know it, you're sending your kids into a minefield of different cultures, different people, different belief systems, and you just don't know what's about to go down, you know? Chet says, can we do some bubbles for ethical weirdos versus unethical weirdos to help my braintism see a difference? Sure. So let's get paint out. Let's get the paint out. Where is it? Okay. So, ethical... Where is it? Ethical. Ethical. Okay. So unethical weirdos, bullies. That's the first one. Because mind you, bullies that are known as bullies aren't technically considered like normie. They just kind of can look normie. It's actually weird, you know, but it's normalized. Okay. I'm gonna do this. Okay. So then we have neurodivergent LGBTQIA. Okay, just being gay or neurodivergent doesn't make you an unethical weirdo. You're an ethical weirdo, and you're only a weirdo subject to the bubble you're in. Bullies, unethical weirdos. Okay, people. I'll give you an example. Neurodivergent, which actually is not even why they're doing it. People who invade space, who invade people's space. They don't know physical boundaries. They don't know emotional boundaries. I know you can't. Hold on, I gotta lower this. You can't really see. Okay, so neurodivergent, often neurodivergent because that's the shield they use, even though it's not real. Invade personal space. Okay, but this can exist in all spaces. You can think of guys who follow you or ask for your number, but don't take a no seriously. But then there's this other neurodivergent guy who sits in the corner and watches you, who shows up at your work, who like creates a 4D chess way of like accidentally running into you. Weirdos, you're fucking weird, okay? Like stalking a girl's Facebook to understand the details of her, you're fucking weird, okay? Let's see. Ethical weirdos, furries. Okay, being a furry doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? Like, what the fuck? BDSM is weird, but like fucking doesn't matter, okay? Unethical weirdos, cult leaders. Cult leaders, you're a weirdo and you're unethical. Cult leaders, okay? What else? Are those good ones? Sex pests, unethical. Yes, sex pests. Okay, sex pests versus sex positive. Okay, sex positive, cool. Sex pests, no. Okay, that's a good one. You know, alt people, alt people, okay? Ethical weirdos. Hold on. White nationalist, alt, not cool. White nationalist alt people with their fucking weird Nazi haircuts, not cool. Okay. Yeah, goth. Oh, goth, ethical. Fuckboy goth, unethical. Okay, fuckboy goth, unethical. Regular goth, ethical. Yeah. That's good. Okay. It's all about the intention, you know? It's all about the intention. Okay. Yeah. Incels, identified incels, unethical. Virgins, not unethical. Or people who don't have sex. Okay, people who don't have sex, haven't had sex, ethical weirdo. Maybe your 40-year-old virgin. It's kind of weird, but honestly, what's so weird about it, really? Incels, weirdos, unethical weirdos. Okay, if the incel is also a misogynist, okay, right? Chat says fuckboy goth. That's a new one. Fuckboy goths? Oh, don't even get me started. AI loves a fuckboy goth. AI is so... This video I've been working on has sent me down a rabbit hole. Let me just say, AI loves a fuckboy goth, okay? They love it. So does this help? Does this make more sense? Okay, now that we're at this point in the conversation, okay? Because again, weirdo is dependent on the bubble you're in, but ethical weirdo, unethical weirdo. Being a vegan is a weirdo. Like if you're a vegan, you could be considered a weirdo. But what's unethical about being a vegan? Unless you are the vegan teacher. Okay, racist vegan, weirdo. Just a vegan, not weirdo. I mean, ethical weirdo. So vegan, ethical weirdo. Racist vegan, unethical weirdo. You know what I mean? Right? Chess says, Brittany, can a person be popular and still an unethical weirdo? Yes. Yeah, definitely. Marilyn Manson. Johnny Depp. Armie Hammer. Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, do you get it? Does that make sense? Absolute fucking weirdos. Absolutely unethical. Absolutely popular. Okay. David Dobrik. You know, James Franco. You know. Oh my gosh, Birdie with a membership of 11 months. Oh my gosh, almost my memberversary. We have a 1-year-old together. Oh my God. Bill Cosby, good example, chat. You know. Unethical weirdo as good weirdo, unethical weirdo as the weirdo that we are talking about in the situation is what parents need to fix. I think here's the thing, and tell me if I answered your question, right? I think ultimately parents need to fix is impossible. Parents need to intervene, but parents also have things out of their hand. I'll just tell you, as somebody who dated an unethical weirdo, there was nothing his parents could do. I mean, there was something his parents could have done before they had him. There was something that could have been that could have happened, you know, but at some point, and this is the part that's hard, you will lose the ability to do anything for your kids because now you can't tell a 25-year-old person to do anything. You can't tell a 30-year-old person to do anything. So the point of being a good parent is to bring down the probability that your kids are unethical weirdos. You know what I mean? Elon Musk, unethical weirdo. Ah, great example, Brittany. Thank you. Elon Musk, unethical weirdo. This is like that autism girl that we watch sometimes who said, guys, just because you're autistic doesn't mean you're a good person. Elon Musk, hello? This is what I'm saying. Like, just because your kid is autistic doesn't mean they're going to be a wholesome, like, because the other thing we do is like infantilize autistic people of being like these like pure souls, like given by God. And it's like, pfft, you know what I mean? So the whole point of being good parents is the hope that we bring down the probability that our kids are serial killers. It doesn't guarantee the outcome. Tim Burton, great example. Neil Gaiman, great example. Chat, you are on fire today, girls. You are on fire, right? Chess says, wait, can they change the course when they are children? I think this is when it is super important for parents to do something about it. Yes, of course. Of course. When you see, this is why she said, okay, can we go back to it? Can we watch it again? Okay, now that everyone's had a deep breath. Okay. Hold on. Oh, did I get rid of the video? Okay.
Parents do not.
Okay, can we go back to the original video now? Because she is saying before it's too late, you need to intervene, right? That's what I'm hearing. Now, whether or not we agree on who the weirdos are, that could be different, right?
Let your child be weird. Now, I made a post about this a while back, and it's funny, I've seen a lot of people who have taken it since then and then put their own spin on it. But let me be very clear on what that means, because I was a teacher for 20 years. I taught every level, lots of kids with varying exceptionalities, and have seen it in the classroom. Let me tell you what you need to avoid. Yes, your child should be unique. Yes, they should have their own style. Yes, they don't need to be exactly like everyone else. However, If your child has habits and tendencies that are causing them to be ostracized in school, they do not have peer relationships, it has gone too far. As a parent, you need to parent them. Your job is not to just love them and let them be however they want to be and send them out, because what you're doing is you're sending them out to ridicule and scorn and no positive peer relationships. Instead, you need to.
Mind you, girls, can I just tell you, she said, if they have no peer relationships. If they have no peer relationships, that's very important to the conversation. Okay, if they have no peer relationship, they have no friends. Your kid has no friends and you're not concerned, not one friend. When I meet adults that are like, Brittany, I'm 40 and I don't have any friends, your parents failed you. If you do not have any friends in your 40s, your parents severely failed you. Even homeschooled, I was more socialized than some kids. You know what I mean? I had friends my whole life. I never not had friends. My parents always made sure we had friends. I've never been without friends. Okay, and I was still a weirdo. I'm saying your parents dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. I was on the bus in Croatia the other day, and this kid, definitely ADHD, autistic something, girl. This kid was loud, and he was very excited, very just innocently like yelling, and his mom would be like, shh. And he would just like, he's so excited. I could tell he was so excited to go to the mall, okay? And he was screaming. And I just sat there and thought to myself, I hope she knows he's neurodivergent. And I hope he has the support. She seemed loving. She seemed patient. She seemed very like not critical of him at all. They were holding hands. It was very cute. He's like 8 years old maybe. But I just know some adult somewhere was like, and this is why I don't have kids. Where's the list? Where's the lady with the list? Where's the lady with the list? You know, some 20-something-year-old girl, some 30, 40-year-old woman, and a group of her friends was like, oh, where's the lady with the list? You know, because like you say you care about neurodivergent children, but you forget how obnoxious they can be. You say you care about kids, but you forget they poop their pants. Like you say you want to like focus the world on these vulnerable children, but you forget they puke all over you with no warning. Okay. So again, like you have to balance this out between adults are the first ones to criticize children for just existing. And then those kids go on to exist in spaces where they feel like they need to do the same. And at the same time, I know I have like 5 or 6 relatives who are teachers. They already know which kid is going to have a hard year because they're not able to make friends. They already can tell which kid is going to spend lunch in their office because they don't have any friends. They already know which kid is going to be like, you know, for the 4 years of high school, that kid who says, I didn't have a friend in high school. And it is very, very difficult. And the parents are not involved. They're either too busy fighting the economy, which is why we need to fight and dismantle capitalism, or they're not paying attention because they don't think it matters. Because listen, for you, it's just another Tuesday, but for your kid, it's their whole childhood. For you, it's just another day of the week. And for these children, it's all the memories they're going to talk about later in therapy or they're going to mention on stream. Okay?
Lovingly guide them and instruct them from a place of love so that they can go out and make positive relationships. So if your child does not have any peer relationships because you have allowed them to continue with habits and proclivities that are causing them to be considered too odd to fit in at all, then
to fit in at all with no friends. Her disclaimers are very important to me. No friends, no groups, no fitting in. Like, yes, your kid can be weird, but are they so weird they don't have friends? Because like, what are we doing here? Maybe your kid is a future serial killer and you just think, well, my kids, that's just how they are. Like, how are you going to intervene and how are you going to help your kid if you don't see in which ways they are failing? Make it make sense. So are we supposed to, like, you sit here and blame parents for not doing anything about their kids and she's telling you to do something and then it's like, no, who's she talking about though? She just said it. Kids with no friends, no social script, no understanding, completely alone and isolated. The future serial killers of America, people.
We're setting them up for a life of struggle because those peer relationships just grow up with them and then they're going to struggle to fit in with people as an adult in the job field and to create relationships in general. So that is where you do not let your child be too weird to be able to have actual relationships with peers.
Now, I will say this, chat, and I do hear you. I hear you. You said, I don't think this lady is the one to teach us on the topic. Would love to have an intersectional leftist like Brittany teach us this. And then chat said, yeah, I think I distrusted her because of my assumption about her politics, but she's making a good point. Listen, this is called bubble hopping. So I just took you into a bubble that is not yours, is not mine, and I still learned something from it. This is a skill I want to give you. Every time you watch somebody say something you agree with, it doesn't mean you have to agree with them so much as she agrees with us, really. But this is called bubble hopping. We're not in the bubble. It's not our bubble, but we're going to jump into this bubble. The video's going viral. People ask me to talk about it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with her. If this is the context I'm understanding, I agree with her. Do I agree with anything else? Fuck no. But she would also agree with me because I would have a similar stance. But this is what bubble hopping is. It's about understanding the world doesn't revolve around you and your thoughts. All people are struggling. All people exist. All people have wisdom to teach us. And we can have issues. So this is, remember that when I hear you, that you want to hear from a leftist, that you don't want to hear from this white woman who definitely voted for Trump. I get it. I don't want to watch the rest of her content either. But if this is the video that's going viral and there's something here we can learn from, then I'm going to learn from it. And this is why I say I can learn from anybody. Anybody can teach me anything. But I also, get rid of all the shit they say that doesn't matter. Same with me. If I say shit that doesn't hit, throw it out, And that's what I want you to focus on. Anytime I show you anything is I get it, right? I understand it. Right away, we all clocked it as like, she feels like MAGA. And also, she's saying something really true that she probably saw growing up in her as a teacher. 20 years a teacher, you're going to see some shit. You're really going to have to see some shit. So again, I don't agree with her. She really agrees with us. Okay, if that helps. Chat said, what are the other solutions? Could she help them find other kids they could relate to? Could they go outside? Could they go to other outside activities where they could make friends? Are they just isolating? Well, so obviously teachers are obviously overworked. So the teacher can't be responsible for giving your kids social friend groups. You as the parent, though, the teacher could tell you. Now, okay, from the teachers in my life that I've talked to, they said parents are really hard to deal with because if you tell a parent their kid is weird, they don't want to hear it. They do not want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like imagine somebody emails you and goes, hey, your kid is super fucking weird. You're like, no. Even my mom was that mom. So this is what I'm saying. Please lock in. My mother was confronted by many of the mothers in her group. We love Brittany. She's so great. She can't pay attention. She's fidgeting all through class. She's very outspoken. She dominates conversations. We can see she's well-read. We can see she's very inquisitive, but she's really struggling in school. Have you considered getting her assessed for ADHD? And my mom's like, no, not my daughter. My daughter, that's her spark. She's beautiful. She's perfect the way she is. And other mothers would say, well, my son has ADHD and she just she reminds me of him before his meds. And my mom was like, but after those kids took meds, they were like mellow and almost like their soul was gone. And that's like a lot of the confusion around medication for ADHD or autism, like not autism, but ADHD. The issue we see with parents is like, even though they have good intentions, they forget that like I did struggle. I struggled so hard in school, even though I was well-read, even though I was inquisitive, even though I was curious, even though I was really smart, I severely struggled in school. I mean, I was waiting at the bus stop in Croatia and girls, I'm just like, and the guy next to me the whole time for 45 minutes was so stiff as a board. I was like, I cannot, you know what I mean? And you do that in class. They recorded us one time for debate class and they were like, who's doing this? Who's always doing this? Who's this? And everyone's like, Brittany. And I can't sit still. I cannot sit still. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where I am. I'm always just like, I have to find something to fidget with. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying like this as a kid in school, kids notice you. They're like, girl, sit still. Like you're fucking, and they think you're doing it for attention. And I can't focus because now I'm thinking about different things. I mean, my brain's everywhere. You know what I mean? So, when we have these conversations, I think the biggest part is the parent has to actually genuinely be interested in their kid and genuinely be open to the fact that their kid needs assistance. And I think this plays into ableism, right? Because no parent wants to think their kid is disabled because of ableism. And so the idea that I think my mother had is like, she doesn't want to imagine a world where Brittany isn't perfect because she thinks Brittany's perfect, And I'm saying I am so perfect even if I'm disabled. I'm saying being disabled doesn't make me less perfect. But if you live in an ableist world that tells parents your kids need to be normal and healthy, then they don't want to live in a world where they're not. And so I do think a big part of this is the parents need to deconstruct their internalized ableism because they're probably neurodivergent or ableism in general And they need to work on figuring that out because I think it could make a big difference for them and their kids. You know, does that answer that question? Right? Let's see. And even recently, about a year and a half ago or so, I told my parents I might have ADHD, and they were like, just don't take meds. Like, because my brother was diagnosed ADHD, and they're like, okay, but like, just don't take meds. Just do it natural. Like David Goggins. I was like, fuck David Goggins and his broken fucking knees. See, David Goggins is the kind of bullshit person my parents listen to, and he goes, I raw dog my ADHD. No, you don't, you fucking addict. You run 20 miles a day and break your knees every day because you won't take some fucking pills. Girl, give me the pills. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that my parents reference David Goggins as the neurodivergent king, this man is addicted. He's literally an addict. You're watching an active addict, an abuser, a toxic boyfriend husband. You're watching a bad dad. And then you're like, oh yeah, he does ADHD, correct. Girl, come on now. You know, but that's the problem. That's the problem with these narratives around medication, these narratives around what a good... So again, the world is full of well-intentioned bad parents. Well-intentioned bad parents. Okay, and they're all having babies. It goes back to the very first topic we covered today on stream. I'm not telling you not to have children. I'm telling you to consider how seriously important of a job you have to steward the next generation into existence, how seriously important it is that you raise good kids, but also that you value the individual for who they are, like your child. They're going to have individual struggles. They're going to have individual weirdness. Make sure your kid's weirdness is cool. Remember that mother that thought her kid, he was autistic and very hyperfixated on serial killers, and she thought he just was going to become a cop or something, but he ended up cutting off the head of an unhoused man and putting it in his closet. Do you guys remember that story? Like, is your kid just taking up a special interest in like serial killer documentaries and true crime, or is he actually training to be a serial killer? Because that's the question. You know what I mean? That's the question. And it's really hard to tell as parents, but I think, you know what I'm saying? Because when the dad heard he had done it, he kind of reacted with like, not surprised. Anyways, he ended up killing like an unhoused man that was very popular in the community and people really loved him. So it was a big deal. Okay. The point is, you just never know. You just never know. Now, again, it's not your autism or neurodivergence or ADHD, but I think sometimes we forget that like uniqueness or weirdness or traits from autism are not the same thing as like you being able to read the room is important. Neurotypical. Like a non-autistic person has got to learn the difference between this is autism and this is weirdo behavior that's dangerous. Like, oh, this is ADHD and then this is this. And then on top of it, it has to be like, okay, like Tourette's. You know how in Tourette's, we got to know the difference between this is a tic and this is a bad attitude. Like, oh, this is a slur that's being used because of his tic. And this is also him apologizing after. You gotta apologize. Okay. And that's the other part of this conversation too, is like, when should you apologize for being neurodivergent, disabled, or otherwise? When you hurt people's feelings and you didn't mean to. Because even if you're not disabled or neurodivergent, when you hurt people's feelings and you didn't mean to, you should apologize. Heartfelt apology. Okay. So love your kids enough to see where they're at, to see how they're struggling, because Clavicular is a weird, unethical kid who is autistic, who has a special interest in looks vaxing because he knows it will get him pretty privilege. I wish his parents had intervened quick enough, but they didn't. And his mental health is constantly on display on stream. A lot of these streamer kids are being exploited by their parents because they're going to pay their parents' bills. And when I think about just the way that the world is, I just think about how many parents are more than willing to let their kids be humiliated on the internet for money. And it's a lot more than we think. Think Disney kids. Those parents had no problem exploiting their kids for fame, money, and stability. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you're a good person. You know, just because you exist doesn't mean you're a good person. You have to work at it. It's very hard to be a good person, and it's even harder to die one. So be less bad every day. Stop trying to do good, because the road to hell is paved in good intentions, and just try to be less bad every day. Okay? Be yourself, but make sure the person that you are authentically isn't a fucking unethical weirdo. Because you might authentically be a rapist. You might authentically be a racist. You might authentically be a homophobe. Your authenticity doesn't mean good, girl. Authenticity doesn't always mean good. Okay? All right. We're going to do one more topic. Let me see. Let me see. Let's take another break. I'll come back. If you guys leave me questions, I'll answer them when I get back. And then we'll jump into the last topic for today, which I think will be something. I don't know. It will be something. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, 1, 2, 3, pause music. Okay, I want to talk to you about something else. Sorry, oh my God. Can I just tell you, listen. Listen, you're either going to get this or you're not going to get it. Okay? Okay, listen. When I was a teenager, I was a part of a youth group for church because we were Catholic. We were going through confirmation. And we had to go away to this like camp. And I was 14, I think, 14. And I was a little goth kid, okay? Like a little punk kid, like a little weirdo. I was a weirdo. I knew Bible verses and knew everything about the Bible, but I was also questioning. So I was a questioning, rebellious, autistic Catholic kid, okay? And I didn't know I was autistic, right? I also deeply romanticized the idea of being like sitting alone and reading a book and a boy coming up and talking to me, or like, oh my God, she's all alone in the corner. I bet she's so interesting and deep. Okay, I was 14. I will not hear you judge me. Okay. And then it kind of happened a little bit. The popular boy befriended me, and I was like, oh my God, it worked. Twilight, who? Twilight wasn't real yet. Twilight wasn't there yet, but Twilight didn't exist yet. But I was like, oh my God, it worked. And the most popular boy became my friend. And I was like, what's happening? Oh my God. Except he wasn't romantically into me. He took pity on me. He was pitying me. Ooh, I will not feel pitied ever again. Ooh, they feel bad for you? No one's going to feel bad for my kid. No way am I going to put a kid in a position to be felt bad for. No way. Anyways, he friended me and everyone was like, why are you talking to her? Like legit like a movie girls. Like, why are you talking to her? Like nobody could get along with me. They tried, but they just didn't get me. You know, I was like reading a book and I was very like argumentative and constantly like poking holes in Catholicism, but also like I'm a Catholic and I'm going to get confirmed. It was too confusing for people. Anyways, he was really nice to me and he ended up dying. Like a year later, he drowned in a pool on his own vomit because he was partying. And I was devastated that the one boy who was nice to me died just a year later or so. It was so sad. I knew his mother because we all worked in the same neighborhood. I had moved away at this point too. I'd moved away at this point, but they called me to tell me like he died. And I think about him all the time now because he would have been a year older than me. But he was so nice to me. But I knew he was pitying me too. But he was nice to me. And I'll just never forget how that impacted everything later. Like, I don't want to be pitied. I want to be really seen for who I am. But the truth was, I wasn't even me in those moments. I was mimicking some romanticized version. My autistic brain was convinced was a version of me I wanted to be. And instead of like who I actually was, which was a girl who actually just wanted to read books. And if you want to talk to me about them, great. But like, I don't need to be mysterious. You know, I don't need to be like some version of myself that exists in media that fulfills a fantasy, but doesn't reflect reality. So as I got older and as I see kids in my family exist, you know, I try to always tell them like, be yourselves, but be considerate of people. And also like, don't try to be cool because you're so busy trying to be cool. You say things you don't even mean, you know? One time when I was trying to be cool, this is so bad. In a group of boys where I was out, okay, I was bisexual, I was out. I was trying to be cool in a group of boys and I said the most like misogynistic fucking shit, like dehumanizing shit ever. And it's not even that big of a deal, but it's something. So I'll tell you what I said because you might think it's nothing, but I think it's something now at 37. So I'm a little tipsy at this point, which is not good. Autistic, tipsy, and trying to be cool. Oh, bad combination, Brittany, bad combination. I'm sitting with a group of the boys and we're talking, we're having a good time and everyone's laughing and I'm killing the social situation. I'm like killing the social interaction. I'm like, oh, I'm doing a good job. Okay. Then one of the girls shows up and I say, like an absolute fuck boy. I'm a virgin, by the way. I have not had sex yet. Okay. I haven't even had sex yet. I say like an absolute fuck boy. This is so crude. I said, have you fucked her yet? And everybody stopped. All the guys stopped and I stopped and I was like, why did I say that? 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 I don't even know why I said it. I was trying to be cool. That's weirdo behavior. Don't be a weirdo. Do you know what I'm saying? Have you fucked her yet is crazy. But that's what I mean. Like even the guys were like, and I was like, what the fuck? Anyways, I'm just telling you right now, that's weirdo behavior. Because I wasn't even being authentically myself, I was trying to be cool. And I'm saying, when you think about social situations, you want to encourage your kid to be authentic and ethical. You want them to be like compassionate and kind about how they talk about people. But remember that your weirdo kids are either going to internalize that they're better than everybody else, which is where you get Aspie. What's that called? Aspie hierarchy. What's that called, girls? Aspie, whatever. Superiority. Sorry. You get Aspie superiority, or you get like, I'm neurodivergent and I'm authentic and I'm just like perfect and everybody else is a conformist and I don't wear pink because that's a girl's color. Oh, I went through that phase in high school too. I don't wear pink because that's a girl's color and I'm not like those other girls. I'm better. I'm a goth girl. I went through that phase. And then I was like, girl, I'm going to put pink everywhere. You know? So when we have conversations about weirdos and normies and trying to stand out and trying to, you know, like so much of who we are is unlearning who we think people want us to be and still being kind and compassionate. Because I have met those other people, like I see these TikToks, I have to always block them from the Aspie supremacy boys who are like, oh, these people are losers and they think with their lizard brains and I'm just the logical guy and everyone else is in their feelings. And it's like, they logic themselves into basically like being psychopaths, you know? And so just think about it. Like, think about the multi-layered situation of being a kid in the world who has to unlearn around adults who haven't unlearned, with other kids being raised by adults who haven't unlearned. And then there's the added layer of policing, the added layer of adults in positions of power. Girl, why? Tell me this, huh? Why didn't any of my teachers who saw that I was struggling in school get my parents involved? Why? Because parents reject the input. They reject the input. Okay. Why are we acting like I was the only one? Right? There are probably so many other kids who were struggling like me. I was in AP psychology and I remember my teacher passing out the test and it was like my third test where I got an F. I couldn't test to save my life. And she'd be like, Brittany, you keep getting Fs on your test. I was like, yeah. She goes, but you're passing all of your homework like with A's or B's. I was like, yeah. And she was like, are you okay with that? And I was like, I don't know. It is what it is, bro. And she was like, okay. And I was like, okay. She's a psychology teacher. You think she'd know the psychology of it? You'd think she would know the psychology of what was happening to teenage Brittany. I don't know, you know? But like, that's the thing that people, yeah, Jet said, girl, that's textbook dyslexia. Oh, I'm dyslexic as fuck. I'm dyslexic as fuck. I'm also autistic. I can't test to save my fucking life. Like, when I read a multiple choice question, it's the death of me. Multiple choice questions, absolute death of me. Who wants to be a millionaire? You know what I mean? Anyways, so all of this to say, you just never know in a planet of 8 billion people what kids are going through, what adults are going through, but we're all going through it. I am it, you're it, we are all going through it. Okay, be very careful how you seek validation. Be very careful on what version of you shows up in public. Be very careful about the thoughts you think about yourself in private. You know, all of this manifests, all of this ends up creating a relationship of how you exist in private and in public. And that's why I say every year I learn to unmask, I learn to be more myself, and I also learn to be kind and compassionate to those around me, because completely unmasked Brittany, who's in the privacy of her home, like, girl cannot be invited to a party because she just, you know, mid-conversation just starts singing and goes, I'm listening, but I'm singing this verse from Pocahontas, but I'm listening, go ahead. And trust me when I say that's never going to make people feel good, including my partner who has to deal with it all the time. And they're like, I feel like you're not listening to me. I was like, no, I'm listening. And I'm listening, go ahead. And they're like, but are you listening? Because I'm trying to tell you something serious. I was like, wait, every rock country. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you right now. Even though it feels good, you got to really do it. You also got to accept that it's not going to, okay. Go ahead, talk. I'll go. I'm listening. You know, I'm telling you, okay? Okay, let's do this video together called Single Men and Single Women, What Men and Women Get Wrong About Each Other. This is from that channel Counterpoint, which I think is like the better version of Jubilee. Let's see what they end up talking about. Let's see.
Counterpoint. I'm your host, Ryan Price. Today, we're doing an open conversation with no restrictions from the prompts. Without further ado, why don't we start by everybody just saying their age? 35.
I'm 32. 20.
31.
42. 22.
Is there anything just hot on your guys' mind that you want to start?
Dad bods, are they in or out?
They're in. They are in. I'm here to report. I think that goes back to our conversation just about like lifestyle and health and wellness. Like, if you're doing similar activities and participating in the same way. But again, you're like, I'm not that strict about bodies, I don't think. And I dated a chef, and I'm like, that was fun because he could cook, which meant I'm not going to finish that sentence. But yeah, it was fun because that's their perspective on life. And so I guess, yeah, it's not like a harsh do or don't for
it's
me.
not a deal breaker for sure, but also I'm not going to date someone who's like, oh yeah, I can lose weight so easy. And then years go by and they still don't lose weight. Like, why not do it now? I mean, I had an ex-boyfriend.
Fat phobia out the gate. Interesting. I wonder where the sample size is from. I wonder where these people hail from.
Who said that? And don't want to say anything else, but
You gone.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, I personally, fitness is very important to me. So I would want to be with someone where fitness is a priority. Or
why are they talking about fitness? Single women and single men. What men and women get wrong about each other? Why are they? I guess this is the hot take about fitness out the gate.
They're willing to start making it a priority in their life. But I would rather date a guy with a few extra LBs than a guy that's skinny.
LBs? What bubble is this? I'm shaking to my core. LBs?
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, you have a...
Okay, listen to me when I say I was falling asleep last night. My partner was next to me and I was falling asleep to my workout videos because I like watching them, of course, because I'm this work transformation era of my life. And the guy was like, you do have to walk 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And I just went, ugh. And my partner just started laughing because obviously he watches me hyper focus and fixate on this obsession about getting in shape and building muscle and getting bigger. My goal is not to lose weight. My goal is to body comp and get bigger muscles and bigger thighs. And I want to crush a watermelon between my legs. And so I'm sitting here and anyways. And what's so funny to me is the different ways you can have a relationship with these conversations, because nowhere in my brain am I thinking LBs or, oh, you're never going to lose weight. That's why in this marriage, we do not, we talked about this when we got married or before we got married, of course, but we don't have these rules. It's too much. You know what I mean? We don't have these rules. Yes, guys, LB is pounds, pounds, LBs, but we don't have these rules about gaining weight, losing weight. As long as you are happy and healthy, we don't care. And healthy to us allows for a larger body. But for them, they're going to say, oh, it's health reasons. I want you thinner. But we know thin doesn't always mean healthy. So it's just it's such a bubble difference. So we really are bubble hopping today, girls.
A few extra pounds, but you still got that man strength. I can deal with that.
See, I like to go to the gym, but I like to eat too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's a
here's the
happy
thing.
medium.
Here's the thing. I think I'm thin, and I don't want a man who has thinner thighs than me.
No.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm dense, and so I think it was I dated this jujitsu guy once, and he was strong, and then he picked me up once, and I heard him go, it's just the worst thing ever, for my confidence. I'm you're supposed to be strong. That was the whole point.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I think you want to feel
Ugh. Oh, I'm way too queer for this bubble.
a man can pick you up without him breaking. Because there are some guys where it's
Yeah.
Okay, the amount of times a week I attempt to try to pick up my partner, just so you know, I can't tell you how many times I'm let me pick you up. Let me see if I can pick you up. He's like, you cannot pick me up. I was like, watch me pick you up. Watch me pick you up. Okay, and for the record, okay, I could, listen, I'm getting closer. I'm not really there yet, but that's the goal. I'm trying to pick up that's true. Actually, I agree with them. As the man married to a woman, I do dream of picking her up without struggling. That is a dream of mine, actually. I agree with them after all.
I'd probably break him, and that's not attractive to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. One question I think I could ask, what's a big red flag if you're dating somebody that's deal breaker?
Okay, that should have been the first question. I don't know why that wasn't the first question.
If they are not able to communicate or emotionally intelligent, because I'm willing to have lots of hard conversations and I'm willing to work through a lot of things. But if you can't communicate, you're not direct, and you're not able to be in touch with your emotions at all, then that's just going to be really hard to build off of. And then for me personally, faith is super important to me. So if somebody...
Oh, so, okay, we got straight up conservatives. These are straight up conservatives. Chad says exactly, I'm trying to hoist my man on my shoulders like a bag of flour. Okay, I'm just saying, you know, listen, we wrestle. I don't know if you wrestle your partners, but we wrestle. And we wrestle frequently. You know what I mean? Like it's jiu-jitsu central over here in our household. And I'm just telling you this right now, nothing makes me want to be stronger than every time I lose. Like nothing pisses me off more than I'm just like, oh. So I don't know. It's really important to me that I'm strong. You know, that's like something that's sacred, I think, especially as I age. But I don't, you know what I mean?
Is not a Christian or a believer. I guess that's not like a red flag for everybody, but like for me, that would just be like, okay, we're not going to be seeing things the same way. We don't share the same foundation. But yeah, those would be for me.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because later on, if you decide to date someone and marry someone with a whole different belief, resentment could start to grow. And also, you want to raise your kids one way, but they want to raise the kids the other way. And then there's just so much disagreements there that could lead to divorce. And divorce is not on the table for me. Like,
well, damn, these girls are really, I don't know. Usually when I watch Counterpoint with you guys, it feels like more like conservative, but liberally people. These are like all just conservatives. Chet says, what do you think of the rhetoric wrestling preludes, DV? Sorry for the dark turn. I've always disagreed vehemently. Literally just play can be. Okay, so I do think if you're in a patriarchal heterosexual bubble in which the man is bullying the weaker person, absolutely could prelude DV. I think that when you are actually working together, your teammates, you're trying to get each other better, stronger, there's no bullying, there's no mocking, then you could be playing together. I think that it takes a lot of deconstructing patriarchy for it not to be some form of bullying. Because I definitely have had those moments, girls, where I'm wrestling my partner and I look at them and they look at me and then we're both like this. And I'm like, oh, damn. And they're like, oh, bro. I was like, you could kill me. And they're like, I could kill you. And I was like, you're not going to kill me, right? And they're like, no, are you going to kill me? And I was like, and we're looking at each other because like, it is scary how weak I am. It is scary how strong somebody is. And you have this realization. I told my partner this story yesterday. My ex, one time I thought he was going to kill me for real, but I realized he didn't mean it to be that way. But let me tell you this story. So I'm dating this guy. Okay. And I'm telling him, oh, I have a neck cramp. Like I have a neck cramp. Girlies. He came up to me, grabbed my head and twisted my neck. And I heard it go crack. And I ended up breaking down and I was like sobbing on the floor. And I was like, did you just try to kill me? And he was like, no. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you come out of the blue as a stronger person and twist my neck? And he was like, well, you said your neck hurt and I wanted to help you. I have never felt more terrified in my life. In my life, I think that is what people are talking about when they say DV possible. Because like, what was that? You know, these are the things that my current married partner and I are always deconstructing. Like, do you feel safe? Are you okay? Is this okay? Did I hurt you? Make sure you say for it, even when we're having fun together. Because like, I'm trusting you not to kill me. I'm trusting you not to accidentally hurt me. It's so important. Like it's so serious. And I like even rethinking about it, it's so scary, you know, but this, to be fair, my ex was, I mean, the epitome of entitled, right? My ex was the textbook of entitled, just entitled to everything and deeply insecure and just every red flag, really, truly, you know. But anyways, so to answer your question, I think they're talking about people like my ex much more than consensual partners who play. Play is so important. Roughhousing, teasing, giggling together, grabbing each other. Like that's so important with boundaries. And no surprise, neck twisting, okay? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, people say that stuff won't matter. They're like, oh, they don't want kids right now. It's like, if they tell you they don't want kids, it's probably not going to change. It's not going to change. And if they say like, oh, like you're Christian and they're Muslim, they might be like, oh, we can make it work. But at some point, someone's going to have to make the change or it's not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think how they speak about their...
I actually think it's really... I couldn't even imagine two different religions dating each other because I wouldn't even date a Republican, right? Like, I don't even understand how you make that work. People do it. Like, a Muslim will date a Christian. I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. The same way I feel like I could never be with a conservative. Like, I don't even know how you're doing it. You know what I mean? Are you doing it?
Your ex is a big thing for me because if you're going to speak poorly and
let me see.
Muslim, they might be like, oh, we can make it work, but at some point someone's gonna have to make the
And it's
change
not
or
the
it's not
same
gonna
thing.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think how they speak about their ex is a big thing for me because if you're going to speak poorly and say things like crazy or label them a certain way, I think it's reflective of your choices personally. Like, and I have to be careful about how I also talk about my exes. And that's something that I think is attractive is when people are like, oh, I did this. This is why I did this. This was my decision, but they don't regret it. And then,
Did she not just hear the story about my ex? Didn't she just hear the story I told? Hello, girl. Sometimes you get to say things about your ex, you know what I mean? As a warning to everybody else of what to look out for.
it's more of like a comprehensive tool to like move forward. But in general, like if you speak poorly about your exes, you're speaking poorly about yourself because that's a reflection of your decision. So
maybe sometimes, not always, but could be.
Well, and it's like, and you were the common denominator in all those bad relationships.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think it's okay to be like, well, they did this and this, but then also owning.
There's got to be accountability
owning
there.
what
Like,
you did, and or this is how I've changed, or I was.
I mean, it's true that you don't want to be with somebody who only has bad ex stories, or you don't want to be with somebody like I have plenty of good dating stories. So I agree with them that technically it is a red flag if somebody only ever has bad stories, because then they are the common denominator. So I kind of agree with maybe if that's what they mean, but I don't agree with the idea that you can't talk bad about bad exes. I don't think you should talk bad about good exes. And I think that could be a reflection of your character. Okay, it depends on what they mean.
Used to attracting that kind of person. And so it's like, there's got to be some ownership in there. If it's always just, oh, they're a terrible person and they're crazy and that's it. It's like,
Yeah, you cannot play the victim in your story.
Yeah.
In the story of the relationship.
Oh, I don't know about that. See, now we're back to conservative rhetoric.
Unless they try to kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's like,
Okay, so you did just hear the story I told, because I don't know if he tried to kill me, but it felt like it did. And I really maybe thought, you know what I think happened? Genuinely, I think my ex always had impulse controls. He just did before he thought. And I think he didn't consider me in that moment. And I think a lot of people have those problems. I mean, there's a reason why people get into addiction. There's a reason why ADHD is also associated with, like, there's so many layers of cheating. So I actually do think my ex just had major impulse controls. And I think he wasn't trying to kill me, but I think it wouldn't have mattered if he had, because he wasn't thinking about it. And that's the problem. Like, you're going to kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to kill somebody. I will just say, I don't like the way they're talking. It's too conservative. It's not nuanced enough for me. There's some truth to it, but it's not, I don't like the victim narrative, or I don't like this idea. Look, you know what I mean? There's like, it's too conservative.
like a whole different scenario for sure.
Yeah, that does happen a lot, though, the victimization of like a relationship. Like, I've had experiences where it's like the girl's like, yeah, you did this and this and this. I'm like, that didn't even happen. Like, what are you talking about? And so sometimes these like stories get fabricated and like.
So you gaslit her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh God, they're so conservative. I'm getting so annoyed. Watching this is hard, but I'm glad I'm watching it with you girls. This is a very icky bubble to me. Okay. Justice, what does it say if a person says all their exes are good people, nothing bad to say on anyone? Okay, that's another great point, chat. Great point, chat. Locked in. That's a great point. Okay, so you dated like 7 people and no issues with anybody. You just all had good breakups. I'm sure that's possible, but like, you know what I mean? But then somebody in the red pill bubble might say, oh, so you broke up with 7 good people and you can't choose. Oh, look, you can't settle down. So I also don't want to red pill this and be like, you know, so there's something here. There's some nuance here. I also depends on what we're counting as dating, because I usually highlight my bad relationships for stream because they're more interesting. But I've also dated a lot of really great people. They're just like, it was fine. We dated, we realized we weren't compatible, we broke up. It's not interesting because there's nothing to tell. I mean, it's good, just so you know, you can have plenty of healthy relationships. To be fair, none of my long-term relationships that got really serious ended well, in the sense that I think we all got too invested. And so the breakups always got too hard. But I think the people that I wasn't as invested in, the breakups went really well because we weren't like invested like that. You know what I mean? So I think there's something to that. Like, how invested are we? Because if we're like basically married and then we're basically getting divorced every time, and we're young and we're not going to therapy, then the breakups are just naturally going to be harder. You know what I mean? So I think there's something about age here that plays a role, maybe.
Yeah. I want to gaslight, so I can't gaslight if, that happens. So.
Okay, but what about you? Like, what's a red flag?
I mean, that's kind of tough because, you know, it's just like a whole thing that I kind of look for with women is like, Like kind of just being in her feminine. Like I understand like for a girl to really be in her feminine, the guy has to be like in his masculine. And like
I hate when people start having these conversations because then it forces my brain to nitpick everything they look like. Because so then my brain goes like, all right, let's see how in your masculine you are. And I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to do that. Don't make me do this. Don't say stupid shit like women have to be in their feminine. And then I have to turn around and look at you and be like, are you in your masculine? I don't want to hear that. Just say I want to fall in love with who I want to fall in love with. And it is what it is. Okay?
that kind of dynamic starts with me for the most part. But if she's like, you know, disrespectful or something like that, like I mentioned it earlier, like I had a relationship where, you know, I let disrespect kind of happen. And then I started, she became very manipulative and like saying things I didn't say and like, and my fault on it.
Oh, is this him talking bad about his exes? Is that girl going to say, oh, you're talking bad about your ex?
It was, I would say, hey, I'm getting like upset here. Let's stop. But I would also then in turn become emotionally charged. And then she couldn't trust me as much in the emotional area. So it kind of fell apart that way. But
okay, you stated that femininity is really important in a woman. So would you date a feminist?
no, absolutely not. Because that's not feminine. I mean, that's a label. I mean, it's crazy too, because like a lot of women are like, yeah, I'm feminist. You don't believe in women's rights? Like it's just for women equality. But like, if you look at a couple things, is like the source of it, the people who started it, they wanted to take away the nuclear family. And then like, you know, they're more, you know, masculine. They don't let me be in my masculine. They overcome it by trying to control things or whatever. So like, yeah, the femininity is like what I'm looking for, but.
Oh, I'm so sorry I'm making you watch this. I did not know it was going to be this rough, girls. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me. I will go to confession after this. I cannot believe. I think I'm so sorry. Oh my God. What a good reminder. Can I just say, you know what? The universe sent me this video because I was just telling you on stream not to take for granted how progressive you are. Because truly, I think most of the world is like this. I do. I think we live in a world where this is most of the world, and that's why the world's so stupid and fucked up. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, please do not take for granted how deconstructed you are. Do not take for granted how much work you have done. Do not take for granted how much you've dismantled in your own mind, liberated in your own heart, yourself away from these oppressive systems. Because, like, oh my God. It's just such a good reminder of how much work we have all done.
Okay. I'm not feminine at all, actually.
Sorry, you gotta have the right guy to bring it up.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, use the attitude, girl.
For sure. I shave my legs, but it's fine.
I like short girl so far the most, and that's not saying much.
She's a dense steamroller.
So I have a question about age, because definitely being in Nebraska and being single at my age.
Ah, Nebraska. Oh, Nebraska.
It's like just not very common, and not ever being married and having kids. And I wouldn't say that like age is the most important thing for me. Like when I'm attracted to someone, really, it's just, to me, it's about compatibility. But I would say generally, I tend to be more attracted to men younger than me because unfortunately, a lot of men my age just look really old or they haven't taken care of themselves. And so.
See, now again, you've brought up looks, and that's naturally going to make me go like, okay, but what do you look like? Like, what does that even mean? That's so superficial. It's insane.
So I'm just kind of curious, like from your perspective, like when you generally men like to date younger, but like for you, how does
they're predatory, girl. They're predatory. Don't be predatory.
Age play into your decision making, and like how far down and how far up would you date?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, I tend to date like within like 3 or 4 years of my age. You know, like how low would I go?
Yeah, I want to know her answer to that too.
I don't know.
You probably go lower than higher, right?
Yeah.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Like 10 years would probably be like the max, I think. And even then, 10 years.
I think she said she was 39, or maybe. I think she's a couple years older than I am. I think this middle guy is 29, and I know he's 20. The one at the very left is 20. He hasn't talked much. I think these guys are almost 30. I don't remember their ages now.
Years younger, and then there's not really a number the other way. Just
yeah. Yeah.
If I had to put a number on it.
I'm just very big on getting real answers on this show. You know,
5 years.
Right. I'm shut the fuck up.
We've said a number.
Yeah, I mean, age is like a big factor. I mean, I've noticed that women who are younger, they like me a lot more because I'm older. It's not like more of like I'm looking for like a lot younger women or whatever. Like one of my last girlfriends was like 10 years younger than me.
So she was a teenager.
And I appreciate
Wait, how
it.
old were you and how old was she?
I was 31. She was like 22. So like 9.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's 31. Oh, he was like 31. Okay, so she's 22. Still too young. It's crazy. No. Still crazy.
Well, I turned 32, but
Testing his math there. You're like,
I was just
I'm good at math. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple things to it. Like the older women, I found out they're harder to date because it seemed like they have a lot of baggage and they have a lot of red flags and a lot of things that they look out for that in turn, they look out for these things. So if they think I'm doing something, they're like, oh, you're doing that. And then it becomes like, no, I'm not. And it becomes like a whole thing. And so like, I've noticed with women who are younger, it's more of like, they're like, yeah, let's just see how it works. It's like, okay, it's more fun and free. And it's like more enjoyable than like someone that kind of brings a lot of stuff to the table. Cause I'm looking for in a woman, like someone that appreciates me for one, but also like.
Jesus fucking Christ. This is rough. Somebody give me a cigarette. Chad says, but Brit, don't you think it's time for women to be allowed to be superficial, especially considering the constant misogynistic messages she has received, I'm assuming coming from a conservative? No, I'm so sick of women trying to counter patriarchy by being a better patriarchs. Like, no, you can't date 19-year-old boys and be cougars because men are dating 19-year-old teenagers. No, we're liberating ourselves from patriarchy. We're not trying to become better patriarchs. Thank you.
It also brings like peace to my life. And so like if she's always like analyzing me or whatever, like trying to see if I have these things that are her red flags, like I feel like.
Man, he is the biggest red flag I've ever seen in my life.
I'm walking on eggshells or something, but like I just feel like, yeah, younger women, it's just the argument against them, I would say like emotional immaturity, like maybe being like.
Discord said, he said the quiet part out loud, but younger women can't see my red flags. He's literally such a red flag. Everything about him.
Like having a lot of like just the emotional immaturity in it. Like it's hard to kind of pinpoint that exactly, but being like super crazy or whatever. Like I understand women, you know, they got to be crazy. That's who they are. And like the men create the container where the women can be free and crazy on their own.
Yeah. My goodness. Like,
we create the container for you to be crazy in, and you guys appreciate that.
Well, of course, they're not going to be someone else. They're going to be themselves. And if they feel super comfortable with you, the truth itself is going to come out, which is a blessing because a lot of people are not like that until later on. It's like, oh, wait, it's too late to like get out of this because you just been with them forever.
It's on cost fallacy.
It sounds to me you like dating younger people because they don't hold you accountable for your actions.
Woo! Get him, girl! Get him!
Well,
you're free to do whatever you want.
That's a great example of why I'm not a big fan of dating older women because all of these things that I just said, like it wasn't necessarily that. It was more or less like something else. I kind of lost my train of thought, but it's not me trying to guard myself and let myself be a gaslighter or be manipulative or whatever. It's that the assumption that I am is what really hurts things because if I'm not doing those things or like if I am open to like, okay, I'm open to that, let me hear what's going on with it and I can try to fix it. You know, that's one thing, but
I think younger women though don't have that experience yet to label it. And then when you get to a point of age, we've dated people and we have that experience. So we're like, okay, this is like behaviors that are happening. If they're going to continue to happen, like I can't continue this. So it's more, it is the emotional maturity of being able to have a conversation and present the issues and labeling it as opposed to just like being resentful and quiet until you have the words for it.
Yeah,
because there's behaviors now that I pick up on like immediately that in my 20s I did tolerate for a really long time, and I was like, that was really bad.
Okay, girls, thank you. Exactly. In our 20s, we don't know any better, and we think highly of these older people, especially someone the other day asked me why I was against age gap relationships. It was because eventually I got old enough to look back and be like, I would never. Even this morning, I was thinking about being friends with older people, younger people. Like, when I say friends, I mean like peers. Because like, if you're in your 20s and you're discovering yourself and who you are, why is a 40-year-old guy next to me discovering who he is too at the same time with 22-year-olds? Why aren't you in the group of 44-year-olds who are also discovering themselves over there with other 44-year-olds? Why is the 44-year-old hanging out with the 20-year-olds who are figuring out who they are, right? And then when I got older, that's why I said yesterday on the stream or 2 days ago, whatever it was, I don't want to hang out with you. Like if we're bowling and we're doing something, sure, but I don't want friends. I don't want to be the 40-year-old woman in a group of 20-year-old people. Like, what are we doing? Why am I here? You know what I mean? Like, did I not learn anything? And then what's worse is like, you'll have people fight to the death to misunderstand this point. I'm not saying you can't have friends that are older or younger. I'm saying the context of the friendship super matters. It super duper matters. Because if you have a friend group in which there's 20-year-olds and 50-year-olds and the 50-year-olds are dating the 20-year-olds, what the fuck is that? You're exactly the red flag everybody's worried about. You're dating the 20-year-olds. And I'm saying, see, you can't just be friends with them. You're always thinking about fucking them. I'm saying if you can have a friendship with a 50-year-old that's not trying to fuck you, great. But if they start fucking the 20-year-olds, then what are we doing? What was the point? What is this friendship really? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Hello?
And unhealthy, but I tolerated it. And I'm sure the guy enjoyed the fact that I tolerated it. But now, like, I pick up on those things and like...
No. Chad said an older friend should be a mentor. No. Because if I'm in a bowling league with you and you're 50 and I'm 25, I don't need a mentor. Thank you. We're just peers. If we work together at our grocery store, you're not my mentor just because you're older than me. You know what I mean? Mentors are very specific people who play roles in villages. They also have to earn the title of being a mentor. Most older people do not have the wisdom to be mentors. So no, your age alone does not mean you're a mentor. But even more than that, like, I don't need peers I work with at my company to be my mentors. You know, I need you to be my working peers. I need you to be my bowling peers. I need you to be my peers at the convention. Like, again, there are so many ways for older and younger people to interact. It's very different depending on the role you're playing. So I'm not saying older people need to automatically be your mentors. I know, Chat, you said that, but I don't want that either, because I don't want to be like, I don't need every older person to come into my life and say, like, the other day, somebody in chat said, you're young, so when you're older, you'll understand better. I'm like, I'm 37. Just because I look young doesn't mean I'm young. I'm 37. Like, people watch me on YouTube and think I'm 25 and then lecture me like I'm 25. Bro, I'm 30 fucking 7. They're like, I'm 40. And when you get to 40, you'll understand. I'm 37, stupid. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't assume you're smarter or better than me. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm just saying.
Very quickly within like...
It's easier to weed stuff out now.
Yeah, I can weed stuff out pretty easily. And
yeah, but what if you're incorrect in your assumption?
I mean, there's always a possibility that could be, but like, I mean,
well, women are never
like
wrong.
You just
so.
like,
That's right.
I will say he is screaming a red flag. He is upset that people all hate him. We hate him. He's so obviously a bad person and philosophically evil, because he's absolutely, everything he said has been disgusting this whole time. And he's so angry these women don't like him and they're like literally pushing back against him. But he's exactly who they know he is.
That's right.
I mean, there's just certain behaviors that it's like that. I mean, that is that's narcissism. Like, you know, and I'd like to think I give people like a pretty fair chance, but at the same time, like, I value my time and energy. And like, when you show me who you are, I believe it now. I don't try and fix people. I don't try and date potential, which I did in the past. Now it's like, I see you for who you are. I either accept this behavior and I'm going to be okay with this, or I'm not. And now I just, I value my time and energy and who I am. And when I see that behavior, I'm like, okay, you can be that, but I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I think that's healthy. That's how it should be.
That's just
Exactly. Believe people when they show you who they are.
Valid, for sure.
Yeah, that's just the experience of dating, though. Now you know what you want. So if you see all these red flags popping up at the very beginning, you're like, okay, I can cut this loose now, where in the past you would have let it go and go and go.
I'll figure out how to fix them. If I just do this or do that, I can change that behavior.
It's just a little thing. I'll let it slide. It's not going to bother me, but
yeah, and then
from past experience, it will. it will. It will in fact bother you.
But like, what was your number though? We were talking about like, what's the highest you would go, what's the lowest you would go.
Oh, my age range? I mean, I would probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years younger to my same age.
It's an older.
Oh, probably not. Yeah.
Red flag. See? So not even a year older, not even 2 years older, not 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I understand not 10 years, 20 years, but not even 2 years older.
I probably wouldn't go, I mean, I'm open to it, but I mean, at my age, 32, it's like the options are scarce for one. A lot of women have, kids already, or, they're just completely insane and they're on their world. And like, it's like, oh my gosh, like who are you?
Oh, this is, ladies, I don't know what to say about this man, but it is giving like, I don't know which one is it. I'm trying to think of which category of guy it is, but it is like borderline. I fully think he keeps a book of all the women who has done him wrong. Like he might have a Romney binder of women in his house, and all of their stats and all the way they've hurt him, because or he's never actually been with that many girls, and he's just like completely mimicking and saying and parroting what he said on the internet. But like,
So, I mean, I don't know. I would say I'd probably.
Do you have a good relationship with your mother?
Yeah. She passed away, but I was raised by my sister. But
Yeah. Do you have a good relationship with your sister?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
just
was
say
raised
a
by
lot of like aggressive words about women, like insane, crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of. I just would be interested, like, how do you describe your sister, and how would you describe your mom?
Oh, they're great people. Very, caring. My sister is a single mom. She's very hardworking, and she's very caring and.
So you don't think your sister deserves to find the love of her life, even though she has kids? So you don't. So you think your sister is less valuable as a person because she has kids?
Protective over us. I love her so much.
Would you
I
say
appreciate
she's
everything.
stable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's not crazy. She doesn't, or maybe I shouldn't use crazy, but yeah, she doesn't fall off the handle. But like, there's times where she needs emotional support, and I'll provide it. And I'm not judging her based off of it. Like I understand. She needs a rock. I have a small family. It's just me and my sister for the most part.
Yeah.
And we need each other, and so I'm not going to condemn her for being wild or whatever. But she's not really like that.
What is your definition of crazy, like with a woman, as you're using these examples, or insane?
Yeah, I would say that. Like I said earlier, like thinking about like, okay, a man does something, he doesn't even think about it. He just kind of like, he's like, oh, I'm being fun.
Well, so doesn't even think about it. It's like the first.
Well,
we just do things.
Yeah, we don't even think about it.
Like reacting without thought.
Yeah, that's a lot of what guys do is we just kind of just do. We're doers, we're builders, and we just kind of act. But when I am accused of something that I'm not, and then me trying to defend myself, and that becomes the issue of me trying to defend myself, like then it becomes very bad.
Do you have a pattern of that in relationships?
Of what?
Defending yourself?
Well, I would say like I don't like when an assumption is gathered and I let it slide, then it becomes a truth. And so I'd rather fix what the core of it is before it becomes something very big. But I also understand now where I messed up, whereas I was trying to like quote unquote defend myself before validating her emotions.
Okay, did he kill somebody? Did he rape somebody? What is going on? You know what I mean? He's talking like he serial killed, murdered somebody. And he's trying to hide it. You know what I mean? That's what it's. The more he talks, the more I'm convinced he's a serial killer. Like, what are we doing? What are you talking about?
And like being there for you, like, hey, we're gonna fix this problem together, type thing. It was more of like, no, I didn't mean it like that. Why are you assuming I have these things? Like one example was I was joking with a girl, and she was like, "Are you gaslighting me?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, she's like, "You said this."
Was she also younger and immature and didn't really know what gaslighting was?
No,
and was she also joking, or was she serious? Was she like, oh my God, are you gaslighting me? And he's like, what, you think I'm gaslighting you? Or was she like, are you gaslighting me? You could just say like, oh my God, no, I'm so sorry. Did you think I was? I'm so sorry. Obviously, we're using gaslighting wrong here because, you know what I mean? But like also, okay.
Necessarily, she was like, she had like a very high IQ. She was only like 28.
High IQ.
But she's like 28. So she's a little bit up there, or I guess whatever. I don't know. But yeah, and I was like, that's not it at all. And then she's like, oh, you're just joking about gaslighting? I'm like, where is this coming from?
So she's gaslighting you, technically.
Yeah, so like that's what I describe as crazy is like you assuming I have this intentions that wasn't mine, and then like they make it a fact.
Do you use Snapchat by chance?
Yes, sometimes.
That's for your 21-year-old girlfriend, so that makes sense.
Exactly. They ask me.
Before they get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're like,
Well, they get too old.
no, don't turn 25, no.
Yeah, once they get expired, you know. Sorry, it's for clip.
Okay, what about you?
Me?
Yeah.
What's the question?
Yeah. Please.
Age, how younger would you get and
How young?
Let's be careful on the low.
Well, yeah, the lower side is dangerous. You're only 20.
Yeah, because I'm 20, I think I'd probably only go to 23, maybe, or 24. Probably not, maybe 23. And probably 18, 19, because I'm about to turn 21.
Okay, that's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think too, like when I was like at like that age, like the age range that I was willing to date was much smaller.
Yeah, great point, Chad. What was the joke he made too? Why did she say, are you gaslighting me? Like, what did you do to make her think that? I love that he didn't tell us what made her say that. Great point, Chad. Great point.
And then, as I've gotten older, like that age range has like gotten bigger.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I tell guys too, it's kind of nice being 30 because like,
he talks
when
a lot.
we're younger, it's like the women's, what they're looking for is like a guy that's older. But then now that we're older, like we have all these options of women that are younger. And like, I feel like that's like a big contention with women that are older. Like, oh, you like dating women, like younger women. Well, it's like the pool is just open more and sometimes maybe more fun or.
And I don't have
these
any hard
issues.
feelings towards like a man wanting to date younger women. I mean, I think a man can date whatever age range, he wants to date.
And I think as a girl, I think
There is this criticism that I get over on my Bert Simon channel, so they don't know me, but they do this thing where it's like older women always angry that younger women get guys. We were younger women who got guys, and I'm telling you right now, we realize now how gross it is because we just have that knowledge and wisdom now, but it's interesting for them to try to say, oh, I don't have any hard feelings over younger girls getting guys. I don't care what he dates. I do care what you date. I do think it matters. Like, you should not be out here dating young people. Like, you should be dating people within your age group, being reasonable. And I've had older guys especially try to say like, oh, I have to date younger girls because I'm so progressive, but they aren't. Like, they're guys who think they're progressive, but they're not progressive. Because if you really look at the dynamic they're interested in, it is so patriarchal. Older man with money who dates younger girls who are struggling. What's more patriarchal than that? You know? So these older men, you'll meet them in dungeons, you'll meet them in whatever groups. They'll say like, oh, I love younger girls because, you know, women my age, they're just so conservative. You're conservative. This dynamic is conservative. Just because you're wearing a BDSM dog mask doesn't make it less conservative. There are a lot of MAGA voting BDSMers. You know what I mean? So this is the frustration I have with people saying like, oh, I'm so progressive, that's why I have to date younger. Habibi, that's not, no.
Age preference or that availability is a little bit more flexible. I mean, the oldest that I'll ever go is 10 years, and my 2 recent exes have been 10 years older than me, and I've learned a lot, and I wouldn't go for anyone younger for sure, just because I think that women mature faster than men, so I'm not.
That's not true. Women are socialized differently under patriarchy. Patriarchy allows men to keep a level of immaturity while still seeking success, while women are made and trained to be overachievers without any of the social reward. So women do not mature faster than men. We are socialized differently. All of us are capable of maturing at the same rate or in different ways. So again, even this idea that women mature faster than men, we're not maturing, we're traumatized. Like, you are not more mature at 21 because you had a hard childhood, you are stunted and traumatized. And you'll realize that when you turn 30 and your life looks very different than the maturity you thought was gonna get you as far as it got you, it didn't get you that far, okay? As somebody who was always told I was so mature for my age, trust me when I say you are stunted. You think working 3 jobs and hustling and taking care of everybody and everyone relying on you is maturity? It's not.
Not going to go backwards. I mean, I'm 22, just turned 22, and I won't go backwards. And sometimes I joke around like, oh no, I'll go like 15. Who knows? Who cares? Like, but no, like 10 is the max, just because I've learned.
I was never interested in younger men, to be honest, but I always dated older. And my last boyfriend was 14 years older than me. So he was 44 and I was 30. And that did come with 2 kids and 2 marriages. So that was difficult in its own way. But I learned a lot in that relationship that brought me, and like I will say he was extremely chivalrous. Like that was really fun and a new experience because I felt like I dated like the other end of the spectrum in that way. But now I feel like I'm.
Okay, let's talk about this. Chat says, I don't think older guys, I just think older guys are hot. I don't care about the age difference, but I'd hate when my ex would point out our age difference to friends and family. Like, ugh, made me cringe. No dating older guys anymore. Let me just tell you this, okay? I think we should great comment. I think we should separate, and this is hard, what you find hot and what makes sense. Because as an allosexual person, I find a lot of things hot. I find older people sexy all the time. Okay, I find men in their 60s very attractive. Women in their 60s, I'm like, mommy. Like, I find a lot of older people attractive. Me finding you attractive has nothing to do with whether or not we should have sex or be together. And I think we correlate attraction to I must be with you. Just because I see you and just because I think you're attractive, just because I know you're sexy, like, you know what I mean? Just because I can recognize it, like, it doesn't mean, okay? And I think we've just forgotten that because we've been trained to think if you're attracted, you know, that's it. That's all you need. Boom. Instead of any of the other steps. And that includes priorities and values and, you know, am I attracted to you or am I attracted to your values? Is our life going to be good? Attraction is just the first step. But yeah, I find a lot of people attractive. Like, I'm not going to lie, you know? But I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm not attracted to them. As a consciousness, I find them attractive, which is different. And I think people forget that there is a difference there. Maybe because like this guy would definitely associate it as the same thing, which is why I think a lot of guys are like, teenage girls are so attractive and 21-year-olds are the best because their bodies are firm for baby making. Like, all of that sounds like crazy to me. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Do you really find them attractive? Are you attracted to them? Do you think they're pretty? Do you really care about baby making? Like, sometimes when people talk, I'm just like, do you hear yourself, bro? Like, that sounds so creepy to me. It sounds like lab rats in a lab. Like, they want women to be in incubators and they want them to just make offsprings. That's what that sounds like. It sounds like, what's that movie? Mad Max? with the new one with the guy has all these women and they're all his brides. That's what that sounds like to me. Is that sexy? What is that? You know what I mean? It's like you're thinking, but not in the, you know how this guy says guys just do stuff. That almost sounds like a plan. I'm going to get a bunch of women, have a bunch of babies, or I'm going to find a woman who has a baby at a young age. The offspring is beautiful. It almost sounds like you're thinking, but you're actually not even thinking. It's like you put this grand plan in order. If you put all that energy into anything else, you imagine what you could do with your life. Yeah, Fury Road. Love that movie. I thought it was a really good movie. But how disgusting was that guy? Like, how gross was he to kidnap all these women? You know what I mean?
At an age where the younger people are more mature at this point, where when I was, younger and dating, I was like, I could never. But generally, it's a more of a, I have to believe what you're saying to me. And a lot of that comes with age and wisdom and experience. And if I don't believe it, then again, I can just like plow through you. So, yeah.
Ooh. Oh, and I do say to the chatter who said, I think there was an era where older women were dating younger men. I think a lot of women, listen, American Pie, what's his name's mom? I think she was supposed to be 38. Guys, that's a year older than me. Do I look like a fucking MILF? Do I look like a fucking cougar? You know what I mean? Like Stifler's mom, I think she's like 28 years old. Let me double check. Stifler's mom age. Yeah, 37 years old. Jennifer Coolidge was 37 years old when filming American Pie. And I love her, by the way. She's gorgeous. Absolutely would. 10 out of 10, right? Beautiful. But I'm 37. That's me. I'm 37. That's me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. If I wanted to play a mommy type role, I bet I could. But I'm not about to. And the kids were in college. I'm not about to fuck a kid in college. You know what I'm saying? What business do I have fucking college kids? Okay? I am not saying that college kids wouldn't find me attractive, okay? But what am I doing fucking you? I know why you want to fuck me. Why do I want to fuck you?
Yeah, I think I've caught myself a lot with that age gap where it's like, are you telling me the truth? And it's like, wait, I have to be able to trust you. And the way that I was raised was my family, we are not a quiet family. Like, we will raise our voice, but we're not mad. Like, it's just a Hispanic culture, I guess. Where
I was going to say, this girl looks Hispanic.
I'm yelling at you from one room.
Because we thought it was all like white girls, but this girl was like brown.
And everybody thinks we're mad at each other. No, it's like, no, that's just the way we
story of my life, girl. See, everyone thinks we're mad, but that's just how we talk. Relatable.
Communicate. The reason why I bring that up was because when it comes to like arguments, never raise my voice. There's no need to. But I see arguments as a discussion, and we're just trying to like see both parties. I don't see that as a fight. And then if he starts to see it as like oh no, we just fight a lot.
Oof.
Okay. I see it as a discussion.
Yeah.
And then that has become a problem. So
it's fun though to discuss. Like, it's fun to learn people's perspectives.
Like, I want to hear your side. I don't want you to build resentment towards me.
But also to value, like, I think that again comes with age and the attraction to someone being older is they know who they are and they know what they believe in. And so like a lot of times when you're dating younger, they don't really know who they are yet. And my parents were like 40 when they had me. My sister was 9 years older than me. Like all of her friends were older in general. So I just tended to be more attracted to that because they knew who they were, they knew what they wanted. And then I lost my sister. And so then like seeing life and people who valued life more so than people my age was like a huge game changer in that too. And like being able to have hard discussions and not see it as a fight or an argument and just be like, I'm trying to learn and see your perspective.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between like an argument and a disagreement. Like, you're gonna have disagreements. Every relationship.
Yeah, and I know I hear this all the time where it's like it should be you two fighting against a disagreement, not you two against each other.
And I think too that's where we bring in the whole internet dating thing is like those disagreements and arguments need to stay in-house. If you're gonna have a healthy relationship, they need to stay in-house because as soon as other people start hearing that you're having problems, everyone starts poking holes. Friends start saying, oh, maybe you guys aren't good for each other. And if family gets involved, then they're like, oh, well, no, I don't really like this person. It's just a mess.
I'm not good at that.
Yeah,
I'm a chatty.
Yeah.
So
I think there's some instances that it's
poster?
okay to share with like a really good friend, like what's happening.
Well, yeah, like
get
your
some,
close friends.
perspective.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those people, the first argument you have, or there's a disagreement, and it's like, oh, get on the app or go find someone else to give me attention, so I don't have to deal with this or whatever. Like, yeah, that's not healthy. But kind of going back to like the disagreement thing, something else I run into is like I'm talking to a guy and like he just has like no opinions about anything. I'm like, you've never thought about that or that, and it's like they just don't want to offend you, so they're just like he just goes along with like, well, whatever you think. And I
actually, you know, the Ramit story we were covering yesterday, towards the end of the interview, he tried to explain to the husband that while you're busy doing penance for the $30,000 that he kept from his wife before they got married or whatever, he keeps defaulting to her and he thinks he's helping her, but he's not. He's actually adding a lot of stress onto her to make the plans, to make it happen, to do this way. And then because he poses it as a question. And actually, this is something my partner and I had to discuss. This is an example of stuff that usually we would work out in home and I wouldn't tell people because it's not important. But this is something that might help you in your ADHD autism relationship, is like, I'm a planner. So I need to know, versus my partner is very ADHD. So sometimes it's like a suggestion. I'm like, no. Are we going out tomorrow? Yes or no? And they're like, we'll put it on the table. I'm like, no. Are we going out tomorrow? Yes or no? Because if you say it's on the table, like, we're not going out probably, right? Like, I need to know what's going on. I cannot go to sleep tonight without understanding unless we consent to, and sometimes we do, winging it. Okay, but if we're winging it, then we really have to be okay with, like, really not like okay, but I will, like, okay, so another example is like if my partner says I'll be ready at 7:30. Okay, my autistic brain will be ready at 6:45. Okay, my autistic brain is ready at 6:45. If he says 7:30, I'm ready at 6:45. His ADHD brain, though, really means 8:39. And so we had to figure out, like, okay, I'm always early and you're always late. We have to figure that out because I can't always be the one who's ready all the time. And so we eventually did figure out ways to move around this, but this is like a really common example of like things that people aren't talking about in their relationships that I think will erode the relationship. Like, I tell my partner all the time, if we don't have these discussions, and obviously we both agree, it will lead to a divorce. Because this is the stuff that, like, as a single person, I never have to think about. So being married has to be better than being single. That's why we got married, because it improved our life. But if being married becomes worse, I'm not doing it. So we always have to build our marriage around the idea that our life was perfect as single people and getting married made it better. So we better make it better. And that means making sure that I'm not waiting 2 hours like this and I feel paralyzed because I can't do anything, or I feel stuck because I can't do anything because I don't know if I should start cooking or if I should start prepping, or do I have time to start this new project? Or no, are you going to be like, oh, I'm ready to go in 10 minutes? Or are you going to be like, oh, I'm ready to go in 30 minutes or 2 hours? So this is just stuff that you can think about when you're planning with people and understanding it. And you have to really talk about it, you know, but I can't. My autism does not like, and then what's worse is it starts to feel like abandonment. So then if you keep saying, I'll be there, and then you're never there, it will start to feel like abandonment. It's like, you would be there. I planned my whole day around this. Why weren't you there? So these are things you have to think about in your relationship. So again, this is an example of something that I normally wouldn't have to tell my friends or family about because we solved the problem ourselves. We didn't need help. But if you're like in a toxic relationship, in an abusive relationship, you should tell your friends and family so they know what's going on, which I always did in my toxic relationships, okay? I always talk to my friends and family about my toxic relationships. But like my marriage stuff like this, we solve it fine. So we're good to go. But we always, I'm happy to share it after we solve it. But while we're solving it, I don't want people in my ear because they don't understand the layers. So I understand the nuance of that idea is like, I don't want you in my ear about us solving our neurodivergence because you might give us the wrong advice. But if we don't solve it on our own, we also believe in couples counseling. So we could also do that if that helps. Get a third party person involved, right? Chess said, I hated sharing stuff. I felt so ashamed. Yeah, I think that's very common. I think a lot of people feel ashamed that anything is going wrong in the relationship. But again, I would just make sure you know the difference between what's going wrong in the relationship and what is just an interesting combination of two individual adults coming together to build a home. Because at the end of the day, we're both in our 30s. We're both grown. We both have our own habits and our own culture, our own background. There's going to be tension as we grow and build a home together. And we're going to have to solve those uncomfortable moments, right? Right? Just as, yeah, ideally you should share stuff, but I couldn't. For sure. Jen says, do they communicate and let you know they're running late? Does it help or not really? It depends. I think we eventually had to learn to communicate it because I think we both took for granted that the initial communication we did was enough. But eventually we incorporated tools of like continual communication. So checking in, saying, hey, we have tentative meeting times. So let's say we say, let's meet at 8, 7:30, we'll reconvene and say, how are you looking? Do you think you'll be, because sometimes like, they're in an event with friends or sometimes they're doing something. It's obviously they're doing something. They're not just sitting around. They're doing something. So if they have an event with friends and they're like, okay, the event will end at 10 and I'll say, great, I'll have dinner ready by 10:30, but the event runs long, you better tell me. So it's stuff like that that will happen. You know what I mean? It's not like they're, it's not like, I mean, sometimes maybe it's that they're just getting themselves ready to go, but generally it's like, there's something happening and they don't know how to communicate. So, you remember the conversation with the guy who was like running late from work and he's like, why should I have to send you a text? You know, I'm at work, from Blue Therapy. Because Habibi, she doesn't know you're running late. You need to tell her you're running late. It's like, but I think for the non-ADHDers, I don't know why they're doing it. For an ADHD partner, they don't even know you exist. Like ADHD can make you forget people you love exist. So I understand that my partner is literally not, they're just like literally spacing out, which is why they need reminders. But why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Why are you neglecting your partner? And you remember what he said on Blue Therapy? He said, well, obviously I'm at work. So obviously you should just assume I'm busy. Boo. So you did know you were at work. So you did think of her and you just assumed. Boo. A boo. Okay?
Like, people haven't learned how to disagree well. It's like, no, I'm okay being challenged. Like, there's a healthy way to do it. But like, when you don't have like a thought or opinion on anything, it's literally just trying to cater to me and like whatever I want so you don't offend me. Like, that's also like super unattractive to me. If you can't have hard conversations, if we can't like, I mean, because I don't want someone exactly like me. Like, I like to be challenged. Like, I want you to make me better. I want to help make you better. And you can only do that when you're like able to have those like conversations.
I think that happened after COVID. I think that was like a big.
Yeah, like I don't want a man who is just
after lockdown
gonna know that I disrespected him and just go with it. Like I don't want him to put me in.
Wait, I gotta rehear that again.
And who is just gonna know that I disrespected him and just go with it. Like
what? I don't want a man who knows I've disrespected him and just goes with it. I don't know what that means.
I don't want him to put me in my place, but I want him to be upfront with me and be like, hey, we got to talk about this. And it's like,
oh, sure. Like you hurt his feelings. You didn't mean to. And then he says, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Okay.
Oh, you're a man. Like, I like that.
Or if I am out of line.
Well, is he a man or is he just mature enough to handle and express his feelings in that moment to say in a vulnerable space, like that really hurt my feelings?
Yeah. I mean, we all like, we're not perfect. Like sometimes like, because I need to be checked sometimes too.
Exactly.
Like, okay, yeah.
And if I'm able to get away with it.
See, this is the gender binary conversation. Oh, they need to be checked. The man needs to be checked. The woman needs to be checked. How about just like people? This is the gender binary at play here. Yeah. Chad says expressing your feelings isn't gendered. They're gendering everything. Like sometimes women are crazy. Sometimes men are like this. Sometimes it's like me and my partner. This is why I say my marriage is deconstructed of gender. It's not like my husband, my wife, my they, them, my whatever. It's my consciousness that I am building a life with. Our first priority is to communicate, love each other, show compassion, love, and kindness, and to always understand where the other is coming from. So we're allowed to have hurt feelings. I'm allowed to say, hey, that really hurt my feelings that I was ready 2 hours early and you weren't there. And it's okay for them to say, I am so sorry. Here's what happened. And we'll do everything we can to make sure it doesn't happen again. Let's work together. It's okay for him to say, hey, like, I see that you're frustrated. Also, I genuinely like da-da-da. It's okay for us to communicate in a way that humanizes the other, and then we fix it. Now, the key here is that we fix it. It might take 3 or 4 times, but we fix it. If it doesn't get fixed, we go to counseling. If counseling doesn't work, we get divorced. There is a script of what we will do if we cannot solve problems. Versus in my past relationship, I think I was in my 20s, but I think I convinced myself that I didn't need a script. I needed patience to deal with my partner's childhood trauma. And if I was just patient, it would be okay. Something like this, right? Versus now as an adult, as an older person, I was an adult then, but you know what I mean? As an older person, we have a script. We know exactly what will happen and it is to be expected. Like I said, we are high compatibility partners and we love each other, but we have to work every day to be on the same page. Otherwise, anybody could grow apart. Like, guys, it doesn't matter how enlightened you are, educated, self-aware, you're still just a person. Okay? So, like, you have to work on it every day.
With that, I'm able to get away with a lot more things later on, and that is not gonna be a good foundation for the relationship.
It's not gonna nurture that.
Yes, we're a team. Exactly, chat.
Yeah.
Can we segue into something else? I'm just curious because dating today is kind of tough because some people feel like dating, you're not like exclusive with someone. They're like, oh, I'm talking to like 3 people at a time. For me, if I want to date you, I'm focusing on you. Even if we're not considering it a relationship yet, like I'm focused on you, like in the traditional sense. It's me and you. I'm not going to talk to anyone else. Anyone I was talking to, I'm going to cut them off. I'm focused on you. So I'm curious about everybody else. Like, do you consider dating multiple people at the same time? Do you focus on one person?
Meaning like to just like
dating as in like talking to people. Yeah, talking. Yeah.
So like you're not exclusive yet, you're just dating.
Right, you're talking, but you
But you're
start talking
texting every day.
Right, yeah.
You're
Like things are getting more serious, but are you doing that with multiple people or are you?
I have a hard time focusing on more than one person, me.
I do too.
I
Yeah,
have
it's-
girlfriends that are talking to like 5 different guys, and I'll be trying to follow them because it is entertaining to me. And I'll be like, that guy, and then that guy this, and then this guy this, and then that. And so like I'm following them, and I'm like, they're able to do it somehow. But me, I'm like, when there's a guy I'm interested in,
Right,
like
it's
I'm
that
like
person.
locked in there until
Right.
that's not like, until it's like, this isn't going to be a
Right.
thing. I can't do the juggling, but I know
I don't know how people do it.
I know people that do.
It's a lot of work, to be honest. Not because I've done it. I haven't done it. If I'm talking to someone and a relationship takes time, it takes energy. If I have this whole life and then I'm trying to include them into my life and make them a priority, and then putting more people, like I'm already trying to focus on my friendships too. So that's even more time. So I can't even imagine people that are doing it 4 or 5, putting
Not for
so
me,
much attention to
girl.
4 or 5 different people.
Not me.
And here's the thing with whole 4 or 5, you could do whatever you want. You're not exclusive, but I just think it's respectful.
Right.
And if you're going to be talking to 4 or 5 people,
Yeah. Chet says, aren't most people dating multiple people until exclusive? Fuck no, not me, girl. Not me, Sam. I am. I'm like these girls. When I'm dating one person, I'm locked in. I cannot pay attention to multiple people at the same time. Like, even when I was poly, I was so bad at it because I was like one person at a time. I work full time and I'm doing all these things and I'm trying to know who everybody is. Like, no, I cannot do it. But to be fair, I think my dating history didn't need to overlap too many people at the same time because it didn't last long between anyways. So like sometimes you could be talking to someone for 2 to 3 days. Sometimes you're talking to someone for a few weeks. Sometimes you go on one date and you're like, oh no, this isn't it. So I don't think there was much time for things to overlap in my experience. But yeah, my attention span, like I just need to focus on one person, right? Chad says, how long have you been married? We've been together 4 years and almost married 3. We're about to celebrate our 3-year wedding anniversary, actually. So we're pretty excited about that. We've been debating what we should do. We're probably just going to go out and eat some vegan food or something. But yeah, we together 4, married 3. Boop, boop.
just be upfront with that person. Like, hey, I'm talking to other people, just letting you know. Because that one person could be like, you're my everything right now. But yeah, personally, just one person at a time.
I think part of that goes back to how you're dating, like how intentional you are. Like for me, like I'm not dating to like just fill my time or for entertainment or for validation. Like
Thank you guys for the congrats. Thank you. I'm pretty happy about it, to be honest. I'm stoked.
Like looking towards marriage. And so I view everything with that lens, but there are people that are like, oh, I'm just having fun. I'm just, or they're like, they need that continual validation, or it's, it's like something to fill their time. And so I think it just depends too on how people are like looking at dating
in general,
and yeah.
I've done both. I've dated multiple people at a time, and then but that doesn't mean I'm sleeping with everyone at the same time.
Right. That's not one of them.
Yeah, I know, but just to like clarify, it does.
This guy thinks he's funny. Nothing worse than a man who thinks he's funny. And no, let me rephrase. Nothing worse than a man who thinks he's funny when he isn't. Okay? He thinks he's so funny. His misogyny jokes are disgusting, and he thinks they're funny.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm sleeping with everyone at the same time.
Right. That's not one of them.
Yeah, I know, but just to like
He's negging her, right? He's negging her.
Clarify. It doesn't. I'm too paranoid for that. But I think that when you are, sometimes I feel like if I date one person at a time, I get too invested too fast, and it's like that person I'm assuming that they're not talking to other people, but that might be dumb, especially like dating in LA is like a lot of people are dating a lot of people. And so it's like a preservational thing in a way, but also if I'm fresh out of a relationship.
Oh, chat says, I think in my head, talking is multiple people because when I was actively dating, people ghosted right before the first date all the time. So it was more efficient. Oh, I've definitely been on dating apps where like you're DMing 5 different people just to see like which one there's more chemistry with. So I guess that's talking to multiple people the same, but they last like a day or two. Like you're like, hey, how are you? You're like, hey, how are you? What are you looking for? Is that dating? Or is that just like the stage into dating? Because like we haven't even said it. We were just checking like, hey, are you like, we'll ask, like I'll ask like one question, like, did you vote for Trump? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, no, thank you. Was that dating? Was I talking to multiple guys or multiple girls? Does that count? You know what I mean? I don't know. But like on social media apps, I didn't use dating apps a lot, but when I did, it was like a couple days of talking before, you know, it fizzled out.
Relationship, and then I'm on the apps and I'm kind of like seeing what people are like and trying to narrow down what I want again. I think, yeah, it just depends on where you're at when you're dating.
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's a little different. I'm more so talking like if you've been talking to someone for a couple months.
yeah. But
and,
then
like,
at that point,
you guys kind of know.
yeah. But I think that
Hold on. Chat says, I don't think it's dating until you meet in person. Well, let me tell you, girl, I was definitely courting and dating my partner before we met in person. So I couldn't live with that because we lived in different countries, obviously. So we had to talk on the internet until we could meet. So I would say, like, if you're dating locally, maybe. But if you're dating long distance, maybe the perimeter has to change, maybe.
it's like, that's always my fear.
Like, I would have been fucking annoyed if I was engaging with my partner the way I was. We were so deeply courting, so deeply dating. And then they were like, well, since we haven't met in person, I've been dating other women. I'd be like, what? Right? Like, what? Like, I would be so betrayed because I'm like, hey, we're just talking to each other. Like, we're just, like, this is serious, right? So, like, maybe the perimeters have to change based off the context.
Fear, I guess, in dating is that gray area, and I don't understand it. Like, it scares the shit out of me because are we sleeping with other people? Are we not sleeping with other people? Like, I don't want to ruin this. I don't want to like do something wrong and like piss you off. If like, but we haven't had this discussion, and I don't want to assume that like we're at this level and we're not. So that ethical gray area has always been a dilemma, I think, in general.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely someone, if I am dating somebody, I want to take it serious, I'll just date them only. You know, I think too, my thought process behind it is just basically, I feel like I don't want to ruin things with it. And even to like a spiritual thing, like if God sees me, you know, he gives me an amazing woman, but then I'm also like, okay, I'm going to see who else is out there.
God, please send me the perfect woman. God sends you the perfect woman. God, please send me another perfect woman. God sends you another perfect woman. God, please send me another perfect woman. God, fuck you. Like, no more perfect women for you. I hope God never sends you another perfect woman again. Okay? What a fucking loser, bro. He's literally the man who dies from the flood on the roof. God, or save my life, God. And then you reject all the ways God saved you, just end up dead. St. Peter laughing at you at the Golden Gates. Stupid. And chat, you're right. You said, honestly, maybe it's just like vetting at that point. Ooh, vetting versus dating versus courting. I think courting is like intentional vetting. I feel like that's what courting is like we were intentionally vetting each other and getting to know each other and like falling in love with each other. Well, here's the thing. To be honest with you, like falling in love is easy for me. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I think like once I really like you, I'm kind of like locked in. I'm attracted to you. I like you. It's a vibe. I don't really think it's significant that I'm falling in love with people. Now that I've recontextualized what falling in love is, thanks to Dr. Kirk Honda. Because Dr. Kirk Honda says often when we have bad breakups, we go, I was never in love with that person. But the truth is you were in love. It was just a bad relationship. And now that I've recontextualized that, I'll just say like, yeah, dude, I was in love. It was just like a no good relationship. So as somebody who's like, I mean, I knew I loved my partner 2 weeks in. I was like, I like this boy. I like this girl. I like this person. And 2 weeks in, we were like, man, we're going to have to see where this is going, don't we? And then we did. And then it was like, whether we're in love or not doesn't matter. Do we have similar values? I mean, that's one half of the very important courting process or dating process is I like you. But like, you know, I think that sometimes we think because we're in love, we should be with this person instead of we should be in love and we should be high compatibility. We have the similar values because yeah, like, I mean, God, if you're in love with people, if you're having sex with people and there's chemistry, like these are not the reasons we do life together, right? Chessa Brittany, was your first date like an interview? 1000%, 8 hours of nonstop conversation. medical records, family history, bank accounts, how much do you have in your savings? Like, what do you imagine your life like? What if we had trans children? Like, do you understand I'm a YouTuber? What do you do for a living? Where do you live? Do you live with your parents? Like, yes, ma'am.
You know, he might just cut that branch off for me or something. I don't want that to happen, so I don't want to have that ruin anything. I've dated multiple girls and like whatever, and it's all right. It's cool because you get the attention or whatever, but it's just not for me anymore.
I only would want to date one person just because if I feel like I'm at the point where we are dating, then I feel like I'll just date you until something happens or we get together and we stay together, or we don't get together and I go find someone else.
Am I being, he's such a sweet bean. He's only 20 though. He's a kid, but he's such a sweet bean. 17 years younger than me. This is what I'm saying. Girls, he is a whole legal adult, basically 18, you know, younger than me. He is 17 years younger. I guess he's 16 years because he's about to be 21. But either way, crazy. Like, and you want to normalize me hanging out with him? You know what I'm saying? We should not be normalizing older people hitting on let these young kids be kids.
I dated someone who said,
yeah, interesting that conservatives are always like, let kids be kids unless those kids are 16 and then we're gonna fuck them. Like, ugh.
Like, we were driving and he said something like, I only date one person at a time. Like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it 100% all the way through. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I think that was really cool. I was like, all right, there's clarity in that.
Well, it's like if I take you out to dinner on Friday night and we have a really good time, and then I'm like, oh, maybe we should do something tomorrow. And you're like, oh, I can't. And then I see
another date.
You're on a date with another person. I'm like, well, you're not taking this serious. Like, that's how.
Remember that episode of Sex and the City where Charlotte tried to put multiple dates on the same day because I think Samantha suggested it or something, and then it didn't work out, and she had a connection with both of the guys, but both of the guys realized she lied to get out of the date to go to the second date, and then they met up and became friends together because they were so mad Charlotte was like double dipping or double dating. Do you guys remember that episode? That's what this sounds like. It's like, see, I can't do it because, like, you know, she was having such a good time on the first date, but she had to pretend she was sick to get out to go to the second date. But then the first guy showed up with soup at her apartment to help her. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and then what do you tell this guy? We're having an amazing first date, but I have a second date lined up. And it's like, you double booked me. You know what I mean? You didn't even give a chance for us to have a good long date together. Now, to be fair, it had come out of a experience where Charlotte was like, I can't believe I just gave up a whole Saturday for one bad date that didn't even last 10 minutes. So I think the point of Charlotte doing this at the suggestion of her friends was because she was like, I'm wasting a whole Saturday on one date. And I have to wait a whole another week for a new Saturday. So they're like, oh, double book. 2 dates a weekend. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll double book. Anyways, all of this to say, you know, it's a funny show, but, you know.
I personally I would be like, well, you're not taking me serious, or you're not.
But that's tough, though, because it's like, what if, you know, you guys, it depends on how far into it you are. Yeah. You know, if you had stuff lined up for the week, then, you know, and then if stuff gets getting serious with you, then that's different. But you already had those plans, and then do you cancel? I don't know.
You just gotta be clear up front.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of unfortunate. Like, I feel like that happens so much. If I'm dating somebody, I kind of just assume that they are. But in a way, that's like not so bad because it almost makes me want to be the best option in a way. But if there's someone who does that, like I feel like I'm exclusive with her if we're just talking, and if she's dating other people, then that's like a big turnoff. Like, okay, what are you doing here? You just whatever. But
again, she probably assumes that you're dating other people, so she's probably
it's a conversation that has to be had.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
I mean, I feel like a conversation is always better than not a conversation. I think assuming is probably a mistake. I know Chat said it earlier, like they're not going to assume we're exclusive unless we talk about it. I would just talk about it right away. That's the difference. Is like everything that I think is important, I mention right away. Basically, just so we're on the same wavelength, I suppose. I think that's the issue is like, why aren't people mentioning it though? Like, why didn't we bring it up? Why didn't we have the conversation? I just don't want to assume. I wouldn't want to assume you're exclusive. I wouldn't want to assume you're not having sex. I would not want to assume you're anything. I would just want to know. But that's what dating is for. Dating is to figure out if this person is somebody you want to pursue in a more serious fashion.
Question if we have time.
We have time.
How do you feel about...
I'm going to have to block you for being an asshole. But you said, why are you so angry about everything you say? It's actually just autism. Thank you for pointing out my disability. It's also because I'm West Asian. Thank you for being racist. Okay? But because you're an asshole about it, right? You're going to have to leave. Okay? 1, microaggression. 2, ableism. Thank you. Blocked.
And I'm not even sure. Do you even like approach women anymore, like out and about. Like I don't see men like go up and talk to like women anymore, like in the past. Like I feel like online communication has pretty much like kind of put a wall to that. Or like the men now wait for the
Chad says, wait, do they mean you or the people in the video? Do they mean me or people? No, they mean me, right? Let me see. Let me look at their channel activity. Maybe I'll unblock them. I doubt it though. I don't see any other activity on their account, but I don't know. Do you think they meant? I don't think so, bro. I get that comment a lot from people. Okay, but why are you so angry about everything you say? There's no way they weren't talking about me. I refuse to believe this. Well, you know what? That's a warning for everybody else. Be careful in chat. Make sure I know who you're talking to.
woman to like approach them first. So I guess like, do you still do that? And do you prefer to approach a woman or be approached by a woman?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely still approach because, I mean, I've been in sales, so like talking to people is no big deal. But like, it would be nice to have a girl approach me or whatever. But
but will she be in her masculine if she does that? How are you going to have a girl in her feminine, but she's approaching you for a date? Which one is it? Yes, you can be in your feminine and approach people for a date. I'm just saying under his social script, he wants his woman in her feminine. Does that now include asking men out on dates? Isn't that supposed to be the masculine? Make it make sense. By the way, in queer bubbles, feminine and masculine is such a different experience than in heterosexual bubbles. Like, sure, top and bottom comes into play. That's what I'm saying. You can be a femme bottom. You can be a femme top. In gay bubbles, you know what I mean? Mask can also be bottom. You can be a switch. You can be verse. You can be so many things. And heterosexual bubbles, when they talk about being in your feminine and masculine, they're associating masculine with top and feminine with bottom. And I'm saying, like, where is the diversity? Where is the exploration? For me, mask and femme and all those things are typically like the way you present or the way your energy is. And obviously, we're always both. Much more than who's the top, who's the bottom, who's the whatever.
But not if she's tall, and not if she's 35, and not if she's
No, she's crazy.
overweight.
Or crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
First question, are you crazy?
Yeah.
So true, so true. What was the original question?
In his offense, he said,
do you still approach? And like, would you?
And sure, chat says even in queer bubbles sometimes. Well, even in certain gay bubbles, definitely they play into these heterosexual like dynamics, like who's the boy, who's the girl, who's this, that. Okay, but I'm just saying in more queer, gender fluid, queer deconstructed spaces, hopefully there'd be more room, you know?
Prefer to be the one approaching a woman or have a woman approach you? Like, I'll just say from my experience, I want to be approached by a man. I want to see like, oh, he's a leader. He's okay with like, if he does get a no, like his ego isn't so fragile that he can't.
Sure. It's nice to know you can handle rejection. I think that's a huge green flag. An ability to handle rejection from a job, a rejection from a pet, an animal, a human baby, a rejection from dating. Yeah, like huge green flag if you can be, because rejection is consent. You have to let people reject you. It's about consent.
Handle that. Like, I just don't see men do that anymore. I see like women are having to take on that aggressive role. And I'm like, if I have to be the one to have to go out there and approach every man and make the first move and like whatever, I'm like, I might just be single forever because that just is not what I want to do and it's not comfortable to me.
I think my approach of going out has changed too. Because like when I was younger, I was going out trying to meet girls and I'm like, I would talk to them more. Now when I go out, it's not that I won't approach someone if I like them or anything, but I'm more so just going out to be around people I know. So I'm not looking for anything. So if something happens more organically, like we're at the bar and I'm buying shots and you're next to me and I'm like, hey, let me get you a drink, let me buy you a shot, something like that, absolutely. But I'm not intentionally going out to meet people.
Well, I wouldn't even say like.
I was thinking about this the other day. I really still think for Brittany and the type of person I am, and I found my partner this way, I just like was organically living my life. Dating apps did not work for me personally, though I know they work for a lot of people. Speed dating just did not, like I've never done it, but I just like can't imagine it would work for me. I really felt like for me, I liberated myself out of this need to be in a space where I was constantly dating and into a space where I was living my life. And if I was dating, great. And if I found someone, great. I mean, I was actively dating, but I wasn't trying to actively put myself in a position to date. I was just doing my favorite things. And I found somebody in one of my favorite spaces and we connected. And of course we did, because I knew the person I would be with would have to be somebody who had a shared interest of mine. One of our interests would have to overlap strongly. It's funny, my partner and I have such diverse interests. Like there are so many things neither of us are into, but the things we are and share are so strong that it really helps. Like one of them being philosophy, right? Like But when it comes to hobbies and stuff like that, we have some that overlap and some that don't, and it's a great balance. So don't be too worried about needing to be in dating spaces. I think sometimes the best thing to do is just live your best life, if that works for you. But like I said, dating apps have worked for some people, you know?
Like intentionally, but just like if there was somebody that you're like, oh, there's interest.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
would you still do that? Because I know guys that are like,
That
they're
won't.
just like, oh no, absolutely not. Like, there's just been this environment that's become created where I think they are so afraid of like what a woman's response. And to be fair, I think some women have been like very rude and like,
yeah,
I mean, just not handle the situation well. And so I think that's on women too, and how we react and respond. And
yeah.
What's the worst?
I
You
would
can
say-
say no, and then you get hit with an ew, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, that's yeah, I definitely have bad experiences trying to like approach women, and like it does suck, and it's like doesn't make you want to do it anymore or whatever. But I will say though, like, and it's something I think women could do a better job at is because in my mind I feel like women make the first move, not how you think, but as the little tiny hints. Like maybe they make the eye contact,
Like,
maybe they
so soft and demure and feminine and
exactly. So if I
Just, like,
see if I
welcome
notice
women.
somebody that's like that, kind of showing a little signals. Because back in the olden days too, that was the thing that women do. They do the little signals that like, oh, I'm kind of attracted to you, and then the man approaches. So the only time I do like an approach is if I see a girl happens to like.
how long does the
dig
stare
me.
have to be?
yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Three
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, 2 to 3 seconds.
I really hate him. I did say something similar on stream the other day. From a social perspective, obviously, one of the ways to give some sort of social consent is to open the opportunity. And I don't disagree with him on principle. I just hate this guy. Okay? I don't like the way he's phrasing it because all social situations require communication. And sometimes eye contact can be communication. But the way he's attaching it to like women back in the day is the bigotry part. It's the part that women are annoyed with because he's attaching it to women used to do this and they were supposed to do this. And it's like, you're being weird again. Like you're objectifying the person you're supposed to be with as a woman first instead of a person first. And like you're a person first before you're a woman. You know, ideally.
Or something. But like, yeah.
So if you're at the bar like this.
And yeah, if they're looking at me and I'm like, oh, you're looking at me, and then yeah, I'll maybe approach. But I would say like a lot of times,
Is she
yeah,
okay?
because it is a consequence. to
Can we
maybe
call
of
those ones
feminism.
crazy if they're staring for too long?
I gotta say, I love to hunt. Like, I probably shouldn't call it that, but I do. I think it's fun. I think that and maybe this makes me masculine, but I think there's a little bit of like a fun game to it. Yeah.
It is a game, yeah.
I got that primal like hunter gatherer in me.
Right.
Bang
Very
bang, you
Neanderthal.
know, bringing the kills to my parents.
That's awesome. But I feel like, yeah, maybe men have approached less more recently because, yeah, sometimes rejection can get nasty. But also, like, yeah, maybe women aren't really doing the signals, the little.
Well, because they don't want to talk to you. Maybe they just don't want to talk to you. Yeah, women on, like, there is this type of woman right now where we're not interested. Okay? Like I told you guys, to prepare for this commentary video I'm working on, guys, it's an AI story, right? Don't listen. It's not about the AI. I didn't even watch all the parts because I was not about to give AI all these views. But I watched enough to be like, okay, I can use this in my video. I understand the story. There's like 50 parts. I only watched like 8. And I was like, okay, I got it. Locked in. When the guys are first introduced, they're like, it's all about sex. It's all about like, I'm going to make you come. And I'm like, oh God, get away from her. You know? As the story progresses, of course, it's a story about like the men also realizing like they're not just there to make girls come. They also have hobbies and personalities too. And I was just like, now I kind of feel for the boys. And I was like, see, listen, like I think people get mistaken on fronting with the fantasy first. And everyone is just like the fantasies first. And so we're all like, get out of here with your dumb fantasies. And then I was like, why can't you just lead with that? Why can't you just lead? Because we're unpacking our bullshit. We're unpacking our bullshit. And I think like we have to recognize that this guy, a lot of unpacking. For him to have the audacity to say women have baggage, Habibi, what do you think you have? What do you think you have? What do you think you have? Explain it to me. You know what I mean? The audacity of him existing in a space where he thinks he doesn't have baggage. Like, girl, we all have a history. All of us have a history, you know? I mean, even babies aren't born into existence without baggage. I don't know why you're pretending like baggage is something you earn as you age. It's something you're born with. Your parents' baggage, your genetic baggage, your history baggage, your people baggage. Like, come on now. Okay, it's silly, right? And Anyways, generally I do swipe up for AI and I try to skip it. Even this last story, I was so annoyed it kept coming up on my feed. So for those asking about the fruit AI stuff, I don't want to see any of that fucking shit, okay? I'm like, ew, you know? But this story, it just made me realize I want to talk about the fantasy element of relationships and why it works and why people are like, oh, I kind of like this. Guys, just because it makes you horny, which I'm here for, does not mean we build relationships on what makes us horny. Horniness is secondary to a relationship. Horniness is good, okay? But like, you can't be the center of your relationship. That's why people stay in toxic dynamics, because the sex is so good. But I'm telling you right now, good sex is not going to get you through Alzheimer's. Men leave their spouses when they have horrible medical situations. Men also leave their wives when they get mastectomies after breast cancer. Like, the horniness is not going to keep you in a marriage. Like, your companionship has to be built on the companion. You know what I mean? Like, right? Trez says, girl, why didn't you tell me this 10 years ago? Why didn't I tell myself this 10 years ago, girl? You think I wasn't in the same position? If only I knew this 10 years ago. At 27, Brittany at 27 was still 3 years away from being liberated. 3 years of hell. The next 3 years of Brittany's life from 27 to 30 was about to be the most hellish years of her life. The worst years of my life, 27 to 30, girl. 27 to 30. Truly hell on earth.
Flirt level, like, hey, okay, I'm single, like, little bad the eyes or whatever, like.
But if they're too good at batting their eyes, then they're like too experienced. So it's like
potentially. I mean,
tough.
I wouldn't like, oh my gosh, I think she likes me. She may have too much experience in it. I don't think I have that thought process, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to have women kind of show a little bit of interest, and then the guy's like, okay, let's make this serious. I'm gonna go approach her.
Cool. Well, that is all the time we have. I just want to say
We gotta read these comments. We gotta read these comments. Let's see, YouTube, shadow banning is crazy. The reason women hate asking out guys is the rejection. They don't want to always feel, so put it on the men. So they don't like how it feels, so they put it on the men. Exactly, nobody wants to get rejected. Actually, for the new people, when I read when I was younger that men wanted to be approached, I just started asking men out. The dilemma, though, is that they don't know what to do with it because they weren't trained in a society that they could handle it. So they found me attractive just because I asked them out. And then I was like, but what else is there? And then Derek said, what do you mean? What else is there? And I'm like, but what else? Like, what else? And he's like, but what else is there? I'm like, but what else? You know, it's like they're so fucking focused on the horniness. They're focused on the sexiness that they forget like there's something after. And I get it. Like, I get it. You know that guy who grabbed me by the crotch? I told you the story earlier. I was very forward with him. I was very flirty with him. And his brain went, oh, I know what to do. I'll grab her by the crotch. We were just in the flirting stage. The literal flirting stage. Guys, the flirting stage. And he was like, I know what to do. And he was older. He was a much older man. Okay? Okay. Comment section says, I think it's okay to text multiple people before actually going out, but after 2 or 3 dates, you actually know if there's potential. Women will dress up, get mad when a man is 6.5 feet tall, Chad in finance doesn't want to talk to them. Yet the nerdy guys who are threes asked to buy them drinks and get maced and assaulted. I'm going to burp into this mic so hard at this comment. I'm going to burp straight into this mic ASMR. Don't piss me off. The poor 20-year-old is being exposed to the elders dating corruption. Okay, it's kind of funny. First guy was totally right. He could be sitting there on his phone and a girl with baggage he described would be like, oh, he's probably talking to some bitch and start a fight over it when he's literally just scrolling and looking through memes. I'm going to fucking right into this mic, girl. Right into this mic, okay? Grunts don't signify lack of strength, but maybe lack of stretching and mobility. Huh? Oh, grunts. What time to get my popcorn? Let's see. I'll be on the show. I'm in Nebraska. Maybe like a former Jehovah's Witness show. Let's see. Even with clear skies in LA that day, Isabella still brought the thunder. Is that the girl in the shirt? Let's see. This woman is using sign language, shaming his sister, insulting him. Let's see. That was uncalled for. Let me see.
Aggressive words about women, like insane, crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, I just would be interested, like, how do you describe your sister and how would you describe your mom?
She's, okay, obviously these chatters all, okay, she's obviously trying to like make a point. She's trying to make a point because men will do this thing where they will be like, women are disgusting. They're whores. They spread their legs for anybody. Oh, but I love my mom. Is your mom not a woman who spread her legs in order to get pregnant with you? You know, your mom had to spread her legs too. It's like, but not my mom. So every woman is a whore but your mother. Cool. Oh, and then earlier he's like, I don't want to date women who have kids. Like if they're older, they probably have kids. Oh, who raised you? Oh, my sister did after my mom died, but she's a single mom. So the two most important women in your life are the kinds of women you avoid when dating? Interesting. Okay. Any questions, guys? This is the end of stream. We did it. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Silly, ridiculous, absolutely stunted. And what a reminder for all of us and all the work that we've done. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of me. Because let me just tell you, girls, I am so used to being in this bubble growing up. Only it's West Asian, so it's even funnier. But these conversations, this is why I'm saying I can't live with my family. I love my family to bits and pieces. But the way they talk, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, please read a book. I'm begging you to read a book. I'm begging you to listen to an audiobook. I'm begging you to watch a documentary. I'm begging you to do anything but parrot these fucking talking points you hear on talk radio, please. Please. Chad says they're faking it too. I bet they have no respect for their moms. Obviously. No, I agree. I think the irony is they have no respect for the women in their life. That's why they put them on this pedestal that doesn't exist, just to talk down on other women. That's exactly what it is. Oh my God, absolutely. Girls, thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. Great stream for today. Just a reminder, we will have a collab on Friday. It'll be great. It'll be so fun. But tomorrow I'll be back with another banger as usual. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Be kind to yourself. I'm not just saying that. I really do mean it. And I hope the water you drink today is the coldest and freshest. I hope your pillow is chilled to the perfect degree. And I hope that if you go on a date, it's the best date of your life. And even if it doesn't work out, it's a great memory. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.